radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Welcome. Fade to Black. Yeah, man. Bespoke radio for the masses. How you doing? Today is Monday, December 10th, 2018. Can you believe it? 344 days into the new year. Just 21 days left. 21 days, 3 weeks, and we're done. Unbelievable. We're live from a bunker somewhere in the middle of beautiful downtown Burbank, California. And I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States. Hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black for KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and KGRA, the Planet. I am your host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking? How you doing? I'm in a great mood. I'm in that lack of sleep. The room is expanding and contracting mood. How you doing? Man, I love Mondays around here. I do. And what a week we have got in front of us. We're calling it our Influencer Week. Tonight, wow, check this out. Somebody pinch me. Tonight, very special guest right here. Billy Carson of Forbidden Knowledge. He's here to kick off our Influencer Week. Influencer Week here on Fade to Black. Influencer is a trending word now. It's now a word. It's now a word, and you see it everywhere. You know, you could be over on International Business Times or, you know, just out there on the webs, you know, whatever, Business Week or you know, look at some of the stuff that has come out from Google or Facebook or whatever. That's the trending word right now. Influencer, right? Who's an influencer? An influencer, right? It's a made up word, so nobody can tell me how to say it, right? And it's being bandied about. And in this community, we have our own big influencers, right? In this community. Billy Carson is one of them. Billy Carson has built a social media presence and with Forbidden Knowledge, and he can reach out and does to millions every single week. He is with us tonight. Tomorrow night, Carrie Cassidy from Project Camelot is here. And she's another one. And she has been doing this. She's one of the original YouTubers. She's been out there with social media and broadcasting and interviewing and YouTube and her website and doing this. She's one of the originals, right? She's an OG influencer, right? So Carrie Cassidy tomorrow night, again, with these stratospheric numbers of contact that she has compiled over the years. So she is with us tomorrow night. Incredible. And then the new kid on the block is with us on Wednesday. As far as I know, this is Tyler Glockner's first interview anywhere. He has kept a very, very low profile with his images and online images and profiles and all of that stuff. And he, of course, founded Secure Team. And probably by the show on Wednesday, he's going to cross 2 million subscribers on his YouTube channel. He is certainly an influencer, right? And that's our week this week. Think about that for a second. You know, and the exciting times and changes that this community is going through and its expansion has a lot to do with these three. And they're all here for 3 straight nights on Fade to Black. So that is a tremendous week. And then Thursday, of course, is Fader Night with Teresa Yanaris. And that's the other thing, right? Right there. She's another one. And she's with us every Thursday night. So think about, bam, 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 what we're doing this week on Fade to Black. And that's why you are here. And if you're new to the show, I did just come off of a weekend over at Coast to Coast. One of the reasons why the room is expanding and contracting. You know, I was on the air last night till 2 a.m. Got home at 3, and I, you know, and came home and got a little bit of rest. But I'm addicted to a couple of TV shows right now, and also Brian Greene. So I did Brian Greene and some other stuff last night. I don't think I hit the hay till 6 a.m. and, you know, was up at 9. No, I was up at noon. I'll take that back. So the room is expanding and contracting. All right, so there you go. And what I wanted to touch upon, I'm going to get to this in a second, is this community. And I talk about it a lot. And I had this vision. and I'm going to share my vision, my download with you in just a minute. Now, OnStellar is where you can go and find me, OnStellar.com, OnStellar.com. Twitter is at JChurchRadio. Oh, that's where I was. See, I just spaced it. That's where I was going. If you are new to the show, I just came off of a weekend over at Coast to Coast, and you may be here for the first time tonight. Great. This is what we do over here. I'm the same person that I am on Coast. It's just that over at Coast with Premier Radio, terrestrial, and FCC guidelines, things are toned down a little bit. Here we've got a little bit more freedom. No bad language, nothing like that. No, it's not about that. But here, I think over at Coast I am myself. But I do have a lot of people that listen to me over there and know me really well and listen to me here on Fade to Black. I go, dude, you're two different people. I don't think so, but I'm probably, as far as Coast to Coast goes, I'm probably the rowdiest they got. That's for sure. But if you're new to the show, what you want to do is follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio, and then use the hashtag F2B. This show on Twitter, this show is completely interactive. We have 2 chat rooms. We have one over at Spreaker. We have one over at KGRA The Planet, fully interactive. We have, of course, Twitter, which is hashtag F2B, and that is the sandbox. And if you're new to this show, which is different than any other broadcast that goes on out there, we have a huge conversation that occurs all night long with all of our listeners. Come and hang out and check it out. It's really fun, and it's amazing to watch and witness once you start to get into it. Okay, so if you're new to the show, welcome. Hashtag F2B. Hashtag F2BQ is Fade to Black Question. So if you have anything for myself or Billy Carson tonight or any other night, post it right there with the hashtag F2BQ. All right. You can also email throughout the show, Jimmy@JimmyChurchRadio.com. Now, I am going to address a lot of the email that I've gotten over the last week. and I'm going to do that in just a minute. All right. Now, okay, couple of things. Our holiday party, and it's a holiday party because it's not a Christmas party. The Christmas party would be before Christmas. This is after Christmas, so otherwise I would just call it a Christmas party, but it's not. It's the day after Christmas, December 26th, and it's before New Year's, so you can't call it a New Year's party, so we're calling it a holiday party. I'm not trying to be politically correct. I'm just trying to be correct, all right? And we're having it at the world-famous Rainbow Bar and Grill. That's right, on the Sunset Strip, right in the middle of Hollywood, California. That's right, so start making your plans now. It's very simple. Head over to our Facebook page. We will have the links up, and they are up on Twitter. Go over and go to our event, and just let us know if you're thinking about attending or if you are going to attend. All right, and if you don't have Facebook, email me. Email me your name. All you have to do, and we'll compile the guest list, but all you really have to do is when you get there, just say, Jimmy Church, I'm here for Fade to Black. That's all you have to do, all right? The rocker just said, Jimmy, what do you want for Christmas this year? You know what I want for Christmas this year? Okay, and I expect to get it now since you are asking. I want the new American Player Strat from Fender in the new Penny paint job. That's right, with a maple neck. So there you go. All right, Penny, Penny. It's the new copper paint job. It's really, really cool. Since you're asking, I'm just letting you know. All right, so if you would like to get that for me, that'd be really, really, really cool. The new American Player Series. Yeah, with the vintage tremolo too. Man, it's a nice looking guitar. And I want it in Penny with the maple neck. Okay? Thanks, Scott. You're the best, man. So cool. I need something to go with that guitar strap that you got me last year. All right? So it's at the Rainbow Bar and Grill. And just head over to our Facebook page and let us know. You can also send me an email and let me know if you're going to be attending. Okay? And that's really it, and how many you're going to bring with you. All right. Yeah, see, Brian just posted it. There it is right there. That is the guitar. Yep, and that's going to get a retweet. Yep, this is it. This is it. And you're quick. This thing was just released. Yep. I'm trying to type. Yep. This is it. Thank you so much. And that'll get the hashtag. And there you go. All right. Boom. Man, I'm in a great mood. I just got me a Strat for Christmas. How cool is that? Man, Scott, you're the best, man. You're the best. All right. Come and join us for the 2019 Conscious Life Expo right here in Los Angeles, California at the LAX Hilton. Right there at LAX. This year, we are celebrating the 50th anniversary of Chariots of the Gods with Eric Von Daniken, and I will be hosting the panel with Eric, Linda Moulton Howe, Jason Martell, Billy Carson, our guest tonight, and David Wilcock. George Norrie is going to be speaking this year, Nassim Haramein, Robert Schock, Danny Brinkley, Grant Cameron, Julia Mossbridge, really looking forward to that, Teresa Yannares, and another 50 speakers. And what you need to do, and it's very simple, click on the Conscious Life Expo banner at jimmychurchradio.com. Okay, it takes you right over to the website, and you're going to get a full conference schedule, and you can check on tickets and everything else right there on the CLE banner at jimmychurchradio.com. Too bad. What's that? Rita says, I'm not getting a guitar now that I blew it with Santa. Oh, man. But if I get you this, you better play Hypnotized. Hypnotized? What, by Fleetwood Mac? That'd be pretty good. Pretty good. All right, I'm just joking about the guitar, Scott. Do not do it. I just wanted to let you guys know what I've got my eyes on, though. Isn't that a beautiful guitar? It's just it's a new paint job. It's a new color. It's called Penny. And look at that. And wow. It's got these new pickups. and it's got a push-pull pod on it on the tone, which will switch, take out the middle pickup so you can lock in the bridge and the neck pickup, because you can't do that with the 5-way switch. So that's pretty cool. Anyway, it's gorgeous. What is that? That's a lighter? Okay, I'm off of Twitter. That's it. I cannot unsee that. All right. Now, Hoffman's Optics. Oh, Rita, can you, it's in your office. Can you bring me the new night vision? Bring that in so I can show that to everybody on the camera. And I'll do that at the bottom of the hour, at the top of the hour. But you guys have to see this new night vision from Hoffman's Optics. It's really, really cool. All right, so I'll do that in just a second. And don't forget to subscribe to our podcast. It is just $2 a month. Just click on the podcast banner over at jimmychurchradio.com. And both, you can become a Fadernaut over in our membership section at jimmychurchradio.com. And also, don't forget to visit all of our sponsors by clicking on their banners at jimmychurchradio.com. They've been with us for a very long time. It's not a pink guitar. It's copper, Susie. Copper. I'd play a pink guitar. Absolutely. A salmon Strat. Absolutely. I certainly would do just that. Let's get the show cracking. Happy birthday to today. Iron Chef Bobby Flay is 54 years old. How do you become an Iron Chef? By just cooking steaks. But he cooks a good steak. Southwest. A Southwest coated steak. Bobby Flay, today is 54. Our dead guy's birthday today is, and I do need a moment of silence for this gentleman, Michael Clark Duncan. 1957 to 2012, died at the young age of 54. Great actor and very funny, too. And his career started with the movie Friday with Ice Cube. That's right. He was in the scene. He was playing craps at the front of the house, and he's uncredited, but that was his first movie. And just 4 years later, he starred in The Green Mile. All those awards and nominations, absolutely incredible. But he stole the show in the whole 9 yards. And those two films, back to back in 1999 and 2000, I'm talking about The Green Mile and the whole 9 yards, 1999 and 2000, launched an absolutely amazing career. That lasted all the way until his death, which was from complications of a heart attack. And had a heart attack, went over to Cedars-Sinai, and never left. He was in ICU. They moved him out of ICU into the hospital, and he died about a month and a half later, at the age of 54. Michael Clark Duncan. Happy birthday. Funny dude. Funny dude. On this day in history, OTD, 1967, sad day. Otis Redding dies in a plane crash near Madison, Wisconsin. Days after recording Sittin' on the Dock of the Bay with Steve Cropper at Stax Records in Memphis, Tennessee. Otis finished recording, didn't quite finish it because he whistled. You know, the famous whistling in Sittin' on the Dock of the Bay was him because he didn't have words for that part of the song. So he just whistled what he was going to say. And then he split, and the last thing, he turned to Steve Cropper as he walked out. He said, man, I'll see you in a couple of days, man, after the show. And he takes off, and he had a TV show and a concert to go and do. And 3 days later, in a private plane, crashed into a lake outside of Madison, Wisconsin, approaching the airport. And there you go, on this day, 1967. Fader fact. All right, it's vetted. Oh, the famous I Want to Believe guitar. I do remember that. That is really cool. I know who can paint this, actually. Actually, Rita and I have a friend that can paint that. That's pretty cool. Fader fact, virtually every brand of hard liquor, and I'm talking about bourbon, whiskey, vodka, gin, and rum, is vegan. That's right. Nearly all distilled spirits are vegan, except for cream-based liqueurs and products that mention honey on the label. And that, my friends, explains a lot, doesn't it? Yes, it does. Tonight, very special guest, Billy Carson is here to kick off our Influencer Week here on Fade to Black. Tomorrow night, it is Carrie Cassidy from Project Camelot. And then on Wednesday, Tyler Glockner from Secure Team joins us. Thursday night is another Fader night with Teresa Yannaris and the Divine Frequency on the airwaves, followed by open lines all night long. All right. Time for me to hit this River Moon coffee. All right. Here we go. Here's my vision. Here's my download. You know what the UFO community has turned into? The NFL. The National UFO League. Yep. Let me explain. And when I'm right, I'm right. When I'm right, I'm right. You got the TTSAs, you got the SSPs, you got the Dolans, you got the Lazars, you got the Third Phase, you got the Roswells, you got the 115, you got the ESETIs, you got the Secure Team, you got the Howes, you got the Rendleshams, right? You got the Mummies, you got the Washington's Club, the CIAs, yeah. You got the home team from Switzerland, the Billy Myers. Shall I continue? Everybody has their squad and they fight for them. And everyone else sucks. Now, listen. It's just like the NFL. Everybody thinks everybody else sucks. And that their guy is right. Or their gal. And I asked, it's so funny. It is so funny. I went on the air 3, 4, 5 months ago, and I warned everybody about the coming drama. I warned everyone. What's Jimmy on about, man? What's Jimmy talking about? I don't understand. What's he talking about? And I warned all of you that this was coming. And, it's here, right? It's here. And the thing is, I warned all of you. But it's just like the NFL. It's just like the NFL. Or European football, right? The real football. Think about it. Actually, that's a little closer. The UFO Cup. If you understand European football, you just laughed. The UFO Cup. The UFO Cup. Right now, and I didn't really think it would come down to this, but it is hilarious. You got a couple smaller clubs, you got some bigger clubs, you've got some old established teams with some history, and and everybody is just duking it out. And I never would have thought, right, that it would have gotten this ugly this quick. I told you it was coming. And the thing is, where you have got, and I'll name names. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. I just gave the list right there, right? If you pick anything on this list, right? You pick anything on here, the Mummies or the CIA or the Rendleshams, right? Whatever. Just pick something on here, right? Third Phase. Pick anything on here, and you're going to have the massive fan base. And you're going to have those that are just calling foul and they suck and that's it. It's only their guy, right? It's crazy. It's nuts. The Mummies, right? Nazca. It's like the craziest situation. Look at what's going down now with TTSA. It's the two extremes. You've got those that are behind it and those that are right, and then you reach out from that, and these things, the trenches, are dug in, and it's everywhere. And here we have, of all things, Jeremy Corbell, releases this film, no harm, no foul. He's just released a film. Who cares? It's not the end of an argument. It's not solving things, and it never will in any aspect of ufology when somebody releases a film or a new book or whatever. It's the truth, right? But here we have Bob Lazar, a subject that is 30 years old, a man that has been, that tried to run away from ufology, tried to just split, and he left. And now he's back, and out of nowhere, we've got these swaths of people that have surfaced supporting Bob or hating on Bob. And those same people are either against TTSA or for TTSA. And if you just dig down a little bit deeper and you start examining this, I don't even think anybody understands who they like or don't like or what those relationships are out there. They don't. It's nuts. It's just like the NFL. It's exactly the same situation. Now, I asked for unity in the community. I asked for a truce. Right? And it's like trying to ask all of the NFL fans to get along. You're not going to get a Raiders fan to get along with anybody. It ain't going to happen. And I understand that. But I was, I had a dream. Martin Luther the King had dreams too, right? I had a dream. And I was hoping that we would actually be able to pull this off. And it chilled out for about 48 hours, even if that. And everybody is right back at it again. Everybody is right back at it. And this film has come out, and it's just absolutely nuts. I just can't believe it. I can't. So I ask all of you, just look around. You know I'm right. You know I'm right. You know that I'm right. Why is it that this community, out of any other community in the world, I don't care if it's basket weaving or crocheting or NASCAR, I don't care what it is. I don't care electric vehicles. I don't care what it is. This community is the one that's supposed to be the most understanding. This is the one. This is the one where we're supposed to listen to everybody, and just that's it. This is that community, right? What has happened? So just look around and just say to yourself, is Jimmy right here? Well, just go and observe. How are you acting, by the way? Maybe that should cause some pause. Where you go, wow, yeah, I guess I'm doing it too. Right? Right. This is Fade to Black. This week, speaking about all of this, think about the three that we have on this week. I'm talking about tonight, Billy Carson. Tomorrow night, Carrie Cassidy. Wednesday night, Tyler Glockner is here. It's a situation where they have so much influence on the community. They have such a strong base. They communicate effectively, and they are able to do that, and they have their supporters. And you would think to yourself, well, what? But that's the case. And I am getting grief over the guest selections this week. And that's the email I was telling you about. It is absolutely fascinating to me. Absolutely fascinating. You should be happy that we have such a great week lined up here on Fade to Black, and I know you are. All right, I'm going to get out of here because when I come back, Billy Carson joins the show on night one of our influencer. How do you say it? It's a made-up word, but it works. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Network and KGRA The Planet. I'll be right back with Mr. Billy Carson. Forbidden Knowledge, right here on the Game Changer Network and KGRA The Planet. I'll be right back.
This is Nicole Church, daughter of You know who. And you're listening to Fade to Black on JimmyChurchRadio.com and the Game Changer Network.
You're listening to Jimmy Church Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Just click on the banner at JimmyChurchRadio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can get our podcast for just $2 per month. All you have to do is click on the podcast banner over at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Hi, folks. It's a holiday season with hope in the air. Things to look forward to and no time for despair. Health can be a challenge, and so can the mail. So Get the Tea wants to help you by giving you a sale. Buy 2 months of Super Tea and get 1 month for free. No limit. That's buy 2 months of Super Tea and get 1 month free. That's a savings of $35. Where? GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. Scroll down on the front page and find the buy 2, get 1 free ad. Click it and save. Orders over $100 get free shipping. Send the gift of life. Change tea at GetTheTea.com. We have many non-GMO organic supplements just waiting for you. This holiday season, enjoy health and Thanksgiving with GetTheTea.com. Want to call us? 928-308-0408. That's 928-308-0408. GetTheTea.com is a proud sponsor of doing what's right. That's GetTheTea.com.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the planet.
Do you want to lose weight but have no idea where to begin? The Fast Start Diet, a 3-day weight loss plan, is the answer. 3 days of nutritionally balanced, calorie-restricted meals delivered right to your door. No shopping, no measuring, and no cooking. Everything is prepared for you and ready to eat at home or on the go. The Fast Start Diet has all the amazing benefits of intermittent fasting without starving. We've helped thousands of people who have struggled to reach their weight loss goals. Isn't it time we helped you? With the Fast Start Diet, you'll lose weight and feel great.
Find Fast Start Diet on Amazon or go to faststartdiet.com and use promo code TALK to get 10% off your first box. And as a special bonus, Fast Start will include their #1 rated Lipo3 appetite suppressant spray free with your order. This is Jimmy Church. And whatever your diet plans are, do what I did. Go to faststartdiet.com.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris.
What up? This is Kyle Massey, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
All right, welcome back. It's Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, our guest is Billy Carson. Night 1 of our Influencer Week. Did I say that right? Billy is the founder of Forbidden Knowledge, the author of the Compendium of the Emerald Tablets, and the expert host on Deep Space, a new original streaming series by Gaia. Carson's Forbidden Knowledge has over 2 million followers and subscribers throughout social media. And Billy has combined forces with the top anomaly hunters in the world to form the United Family of Anomaly Hunters, UFAH. Oh, that's funny. That's funny, isn't it? We'll talk about that in just a second. And their mission is to provide evidence of past and present life here on Earth and other celestial bodies inside our solar system, and of technologies being used along with their potential origins. The group claims to have pioneered 2 new fields of science, Archeo-astronomy and Astro-anthropology. Mr. Carson is the CEO of First Class Space Agency based in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Carson's space agency is involved in research and development of alternative propulsion systems and zero-point energy devices. He is also the founder of Pantheon Elite Records, a contributor to Thrive Global, and is a registered international journalist. And I would like to welcome back to Fade to Black the one and only Mr. Billy Carson. Billy, good evening, man. How are you?
Hey, good evening, Jimmy. Thanks for having me back on, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're the best, Billy. You're the best. And I don't say that to everybody. Well, maybe I do. But tonight you're the best. Tonight you're the best. Hey, I don't know. I don't know if you heard me, Billy, at the beginning of the show, which is fine if you didn't. But I compared. You're a sports guy, right? You're a coach.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I compared the UFO community to the NFL.
Okay.
Right? Where everybody's got their favorite team and everybody else sucks, right?
That's true. That is true.
It's crazy how it has evolved into this. And social media plays a big part in that. You know, everybody just trying to fan the flames or, you know, aggravate or, you know, everybody is, well, not everybody, but so many come at me with these crazy posts or tweets or emails, you know, just seeing if they're going to, you know, poke a hot stick into the eye of the big fat bear, and then I'm going to react. And then the next thing you know, and then this fight has started and we got a flame war going. And, but it's just like the NFL, isn't it? It's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's there's a lot of infighting. Sometimes people say to me, they say, you know, well, aren't you worried about putting all this information? Aren't you worried about the government coming after you? I go, you know, to be honest with you, I'm not worried about the government coming after me. I'm worried about a lot of these fake woke people coming after me. These imitation fake woke people that are out here.
You have to be aware of that by now because of your footprint into social media. You can't know everybody. You know, you've got a couple of million followers and subscribers. You don't know everybody by name. You don't know their personalities. And you can't control social media, can you?
You can't really. I mean, it's out there. It's public record. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people that have taken the side of creating controversy for likes. So they'll go after other conscious accounts, kind of like a conquer and divide type of a tactic, and create controversy, whether they have to fabricate information or take information that they don't have full information on and twist it into something crazy and turn it into propaganda, and then promote it out there so that they can generate some type of attention for themselves or likes, which is kind of sadistic, but it's the world that we live in.
And, you know, this is the strange part about it, is that you can float through this for a certain length of time and go unscathed. But once you start to be at the center of negativity or attacks or excessive criticism or made-up stuff and fake news and all of that stuff, it's only because you matter. Right? They're not going to waste their time on somebody that nobody cares about or that nobody's heard of.
That's right. That is right. You know, a lot of these accounts that pop up and troll me and, you know, troll my pages or whatever and post this stuff on there, you know, don't follow him and don't do this. They're tagging me in all these crazy posts. So what happens is a lot of their followers become my followers. And I've never tagged any of them because I don't care to give them any power. But they've turned around and siphoned out their power to me and transferred a lot of their followers to me. Matter of fact, you know, kind of helped build my empire.
Isn't that a funny way to look at it? And I certainly do. I do the exact same thing. But does that make you feel better? In that, which is this. Yes, they're attacking you because you matter, or they're trying to bring you down, or they're trying to create negativity around you because you matter. Does that make you feel any better? Not.
Well, I feel like I'm at least, accomplishing something to I'm under some type of radar from some people out there, but, I'd really like to see everybody just come join forces and stop fighting each other and fight the real enemy,
Yeah, I know. Exactly. I mean, this community is so big and so powerful and so fun and so cool. I know. Yeah. I know some individuals out there. I know a lot that I've met and not necessarily become friends, because to become friends you have to be around people, in the physical. But at least you develop some relationship at some point, and you feel you know somebody. And it's all cool, and then you watch that person just go off the rails, right? It's like,
it's like what happened?
Don't get it. But if we could take that energy and take that focus that people are putting into attacking others inside of this community, and take that energy and focus it where we really need it, man, there's nothing stopping us, is there?
That's right, man. You hit it on the head, where the energy is being diluted because of this infighting type of stuff. I think that if it's focused like a laser beam on the source, which is the cabal, the elitists, the oligarchy, and the tactics we need to use and techniques we need to use to unite and bring it down, man, we could be light years ahead of where we are right now.
What was that? What was that basketball movie? Hoosiers, right? Remember
Hoosiers,
that? Yeah, you remember that locker room speech, right? Rah rah team. I feel like I've got to do that every single day, right? to rope everybody back in. I feel like we're in the movie Rudy or something.
Right. Yeah. Well, we got to reel them in on a consistent basis. It's just because, it's human nature to get distracted and diverted, even though they may not be getting distracted by CNN or Fox News. There still are other distractions now within the conscious community, where there's somebody posting fake news about conscious content, poorly researched content, propaganda against other conscious accounts with no evidence, no proof of anything, just making up statements, and then people get distracted and follow these people or chime in. Again, it goes back to the same old scenario. It's almost like you're just back in school and taking the word of a teacher that's reading out of a book that has false history information in it, and you're taking it as their word, and you're going out and propagating it instead of doing the hard research yourself. So it's kind of turned into a different type of distraction within the conscious community. They think they're not being distracted, but a lot of people are really being distracted by fake propaganda, posts that are backed with no research, and all this stuff about cloned rappers, and they're cloning. Nobody's cloning rappers. There's no minorities in the Illuminati. This stuff is it's out of control out here, man. It's ridiculous.
I don't know. Jay-Z is pretty Illuminati-ish.
He's Illuminati-ish, but what happens is the Illuminati is a very, very small group of people, and I don't think that they're putting out invitations for people. Now, what they will do is they will manipulate people that have power and positions of control over groups of people in different segments of genre, and they will utilize those people to their end, for their means. But as far as him being inside of the Illuminati, I don't know if that's really possible. I don't think those good old boys are going to really. And they'll use you now. They'll use you and manipulate you and give you the tools you need to gain power over certain areas, but I don't think that you'll be in the club. You know what I mean?
So there's no desegregation program inside of the Illuminati.
No, there's no desegregation program in the Illuminati. There's the only thing is you got the Illuminati and you have the puppets underneath them. So now you're talking maybe the people being puppets, but not being in the Illuminati. And there's nobody spending $100 million to clone rappers out here and put these rappers out on the streets and clone bodies. It's just not happening.
Oh man, really?
Gucci Man is not a clone, and all these crazy little mumble rappers, they're not clone people. It's a farce. It's a farce. But you got to spend our energy and time on more important stuff.
Now let's talk about, you've had a pretty amazing year, and it's been a lot of fun, and for me to kick back and watch you make your way through 2018. Congratulations on that. And I do want to say, as we start to talk about your research this year, is congratulations. You are now engaged to be married. So why don't you tell us about that?
Well, that was an amazing event this year. It really, I hate to say capped off the year because the year isn't over yet, but it was definitely the pinnacle of this year for me.
You better say that. She's listening.
Yeah, no, right? I met this beautiful woman who was into traveling and into ancient sites and mysticism and ancient wisdom and knowledge and quantum physics. And I just couldn't believe, our first conversation was about black holes and quantum mechanics. That was our first conversation ever.
Wow.
So I knew I had something special here from the very first day that we talked. And then, I met her through Forbidden Knowledge, through my Instagram account. We had, and she had been following me for, quite some time since I was in a very small account. And at some point, I guess a year or so ago, I started following her, and then we struck up a conversation through commenting or whatever on a post. And the next thing you know, it led to meeting, and the next thing you know, it led to traveling all over the world this year. And it's just been an amazing run. And I've found somebody that I feel like really, truly my soulmate, that's into the stuff that I'm into. I mean, when you could take a woman hiking through the jungles of Cambodia in 100% humidity at 120-degree temperature every single day for 37 miles of hiking in the jungle and not one complaint, I think you found somebody.
Yeah,
she's
a keeper.
Yeah, yeah,
she's a keeper. And so you guys go down to Peru. You go to Machu Picchu, and tell me about that, because the photographs are amazing.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. One of the trips we took was, to Peru, and for my birthday, which was on September the 4th, she said, what do you want for your birthday? I said, well, I've always wanted to fly over the Nazca lines. So within 5 minutes, she said, it's booked. I said, damn. Okay. So we're going to Peru.
Right.
I said, we got to add a couple more things to the trip. So we added, the Sacred Valley, the Cusco and the Machu Picchu. And on the way down there, on the way to, planning the trip, I was saying to myself, on the way down there, I should probably propose. I said, no, let's wait till we get there. I'll propose at Machu Picchu. And I said, no, scratch that whole thing. I'll just wait till Valentine's Day and propose on Valentine's. And I said, no, everybody's going to propose on Valentine's Day. I do it at the top of Machu Picchu. How many people can say that happened? So, so I waited till we got to the top of Machu Picchu, which was a couple of days after we flew over the Nazca lines, which was actually my exact birth date, September the 4th. And I popped a question right there at the top, man, as close to God as you can get, 12,000 feet above sea level. And she said yes, which, was a good thing, because if not, I was just going to jump off the side of the mountain.
Well, yeah, look, that's a good setup, man, because there's no way she's going to say no when she's that close to the heavens.
Exactly.
Bad things would happen. So, she could always rescind later, but she's not going to say no then. And, congratulations on that. And are you guys going to get married here in the States, or are you going to go back to Machu Picchu and get married up on the mountain? What are you going to do?
Yeah, we're really thinking about doing a destination wedding right back at Machu Picchu in the same place. That's really where we're kind of aiming for, maybe like 2020. So that's really what we're thinking right now. I mean, it could change, but that's kind of where we're focusing on, and a destination wedding right there back at the top of Machu Picchu.
Well, Rita and I want to make it down there, so There you go. You got your best man, right?
Oh, let's go, man.
Yeah,
that would be fantastic.
That would be amazing. The text is going to come in here in a second. Rita's going to go, let's do it. You said it. Now we got to go.
It's locked.
It's locked. Now, how many countries did you end up visiting this year?
Oh, wow. Well, I started off really simple down in Miami at the Coral Castle, and then from there flew over to Asia and went to Cambodia, Siem Reap, Vietnam, Singapore, Hong Kong. Came back for a little while. I had to do some conferences in between, and then went down to Mexico to Tulum, and from Tulum went over to Chichen Itza down at the Yucatan Peninsula, and spent some time down there. Then came back and flew over to South America to Peru, and of course went to Lima, went to the Sacred Valley, Nazca, flew over the Nazca lines, went to Cusco, did the whole Cusco tour of the Ollantaytambo area and toured all of those ruins, and then of course topped it off at Machu Picchu.
That's a pretty ambitious year, and one of the things that we all admire about you, Billy. It's one thing to do the research or to write the books and get some information together. That's great. Okay, we all dig that. But it's another thing to back it up, right? To fly to these places and see and ask those questions. And out of all of those trips, all those countries, which one stands out?
Cambodia stands out the most to me. It's just, I love Machu Picchu, don't get me wrong, but Cambodia is just really a mystical place. These, you hike through the jungle, and all of a sudden there's a clearing, and there's this temple, these massive temples with these massive stone blocks. It's just absolutely unbelievable that they were able to build. This is like one of the biggest and most powerful and richest kingdoms of its time in that era. And a lot of these structures, according to the locals, were poured into place overnight. I mean, what does that mean, And it's just an amazing sight to see. And according to the ancients as well, and according to the people that live there now, the verbal history is that the gods built this entire 512-hectare area of temples, and they dwelled there amongst the people. So it's just an amazing thing. I really think it's an Annunaki fortress city that was built in ancient times, and then later on became inhabited by kings and their court. But I think initially it was a standing place of the holding place for the Anunnaki.
Why do you say Anunnaki? What did you see that tipped it?
Well, just like when you look at all these sites that I've been to around the world, these megalithic structures with the stones that are fused together with no mortar, and the size and scale of some of these stones and these structures and how solid they were built. Like, for example, in Angkor Wat, when I went inside the structure, which was still in pristine condition, and there's like no shifting of the stones, everything is in place, and it's a 3-story structure. I'm up at the top, I'm looking out of windows and everything. I'm going, how in the world can this thing last this many thousands of years, and it's still completely intact, with all the tens of thousands of people that have now come through that place as tourists, touching and climbing and grasping and pushing and poking and everything else. And the size, it's just the immense size of this structure is like unbelievable. And you're looking at it going, man, this has got to be a place just like all the others, where you have one architect that has now propagated himself all around the planet, or itself around the planet. And it just points back to the Anunnaki, because those structures going back into ancient times, the ziggurats and everything else, are the same type of construction technique.
How far away are the quarries? Are we dealing with the same logistical nightmares that we have with Peru or Giza or even Stonehenge, for instance? Where are the quarries in relation to the temples?
Hundreds of miles away. The quarries are hundreds of miles away. That's the most incredible thing. It's like, you're not going to roll these stones on logs through the jungle. I mean, it's just the jungle's too thick. It just doesn't make any sense. And the way that some of these temples are set up, and the amount of carving and etching and this laser precision, thousands and thousands of glyphs. I mean, glyphs everywhere. Everywhere you could think that the walls are covered in stories. And I mean, you're saying this would take hundreds of years to inscribe by, just chiseling away with a hammer. Something had to create these elaborate glyphs and all this design and all this artwork in this stone. and have it so unbelievably even, and the way it's just like a complete perfect symmetry, it just points back to advanced technology. It points back to, at some point in the past, they had a much more advanced way of working with stone.
Why is it, Billy, that we just won't accept or consider anything out of the ordinary when it comes to these constructions, where people look at the crazy fitting of these asymmetrical, crazy joints and just go, yeah, well, whatever. And,
I know.
And you can't look at it that way. We can't do it now, and we wouldn't do it now. That's the other thing.
Right.
Even if we had the money or the technology to go and do this amazing fitting, we still wouldn't do it. So what's going on?
Well, that's a good point you brought up there, Jimmy, because what happens is the type of construction technique that is used is so difficult for us that it makes absolutely no sense for us to do it whatsoever. So that tells you that they must have had a very easy time doing this. It must have been very, very easy for them to construct and build this way. And we look at it, we meaning the general population, we look at this and we just go, we'll just take what they told us in the history books or what they said on TV. They rolled some logs up, some mud ramps, and they found a way to bash these things together and get them to stick. I mean, because it's so out of the box to think that there was a much more advanced culture, ahead of us. People have been taught and brought up to think that we are the pinnacle of civilization at this moment, when in true reality, I don't believe we're not even as high as before the Annunaki civilizations. I believe there were higher civilizations of humanoids on this planet before. I don't think we've even gotten close to that point again. We're just now 100 years away from the horse and buggy, so we got a long way to go. But the ego has really taken us over, and the way that we've been taught in school and so forth has taken over, and has us thinking that we're the pinnacle of civilization. Man, we're not even scratching it. We're not even a type 0 civilization yet. We're not even scratching the surface.
No, that's right. And, Mark Toronto over in Australia is posting these pictures up for us right now on Twitter. And these are some of my favorite shots of the walls down in Cusco. And you look at this and you look at those kinds and it's not one, it's like every single stone there is just ridiculous. Every single one. Yeah. Because it's fitting into the one next to it and the one above it. And you look at that, and you have to ask yourself, with our technology today, and you hit somebody with this design, they will go, dude, no, I'm not going to do it, right? Now, back then, if we based on everything on the technology that they allegedly had, right, which was nothing, right, chicken bones, then it wasn't going to get carved. You would have a revolt. There's no reason to cut these stones, try to fit them, pull them back down, reshape, push it up there again. Oh, it's not quite right. Pull it back down, reshape, because that's what would have to have happened. Or, like you said, they got it done easily, where this was nothing for them to do. And if that's the case, they knew something that we don't.
Absolutely. I truly believe that they use a laser lattice, is what I'm calling it in my own theory. And it's just a theory, but a lot of these stones look like they've been melted or molten in some way, and then kind of dried or set into position.
Yeah, let's take a break right here, and when we come back, we're going to pick up. I definitely want to know exactly what you're referring to there. This is Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, Billy Carson, Forbidden Knowledge. I'm your host, Jimmy Church, and we'll be right back after this short break. Stay with us.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station, Salt Lake City, Utah, Van Buren, Arkansas. Come join us for the 2019 Conscious Life Expo in Los Angeles at the LAX Hilton. This year, we are celebrating the 50th anniversary of Chariots of the Gods with Eric Von Daniken, and I'll be hosting the panel with Eric, Linda Moulton Howe, Jason Martell, Billy Carson, and David Wilcock. Join George Norrie, Nassim Haramain, Robert Schock, Damian Brinkley, Grant Cameron, Julia Mossbridge, Teresa Yannares, and another 50 speakers who will be presenting at the 2019 Conscious Life Expo. Just go to ConsciousLifeExpo.com for tickets and a full conference schedule, or click on the CLE banner at JimmyChurchRadio.com. Go back, Lee Tappy.
Folks, this is very important information. What's to be said about CBD? AncientLifeOil.com. Our CBD is made from hemp and has 0.003 THC, which means this wonderful product won't get you high, no matter what amount you take. What does CBD do for the body? My hands are tied. But you can Google CBD benefits and be astounded. When you're finished reading, you'll want to log on to AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com and purchase. Life is good when you feel good. People are tired of pain. People are asking for non-GMO organic products to help them with, you fill in the blank. Legal in 49 states, and again, our CBD is made from hemp. Ancient Life Oil is about helping people one by one by one. If you wonder how good the product is, the CEO takes it every day without miss. AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. Have a great day.
Hello, I'm Katie, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA Digital Broadcast Station.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And this is Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. Yes. We are of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And I'm Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers.
And you're listening to Jimmy Church.
The Revolution.
Reclaim your active lifestyle with Angioprim. Angioprim is the original liquid oral chelation supplement. Chelation helps remove toxins, heavy metals, and cholesterol in your veins and arteries that can cause blockages. Scientific research proves the active ingredient in Angioprim has superior oral chelation action that helps promote cardiovascular health. Find out more. Go to angioprim.com. Talk to a trained consultant by calling Angioprim toll-free 877-882-7221.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can become an official Fadernaut by just going to our membership section at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Hey, it's Grace. Can we talk about something serious for a minute? Your age. Getting old has its perks. But remember, being a few years younger, you know, your hair was thicker, you didn't have so many wrinkles, that extra weight wasn't haunting you, and you just felt better. Well, we can't turn back the clocks and go back 10 or 15 years, but you can start feeling and looking 10 or 15 years younger with Nature's Youth RSF. It's a doctor-formulated daily supplement that helps your body maintain its peak performance and fight the aging process. Imagine sleeping better, looking better, and feeling better. See how Nature's Youth RSF has helped thousands of people just like you at nature'syouth.com. nature'syouth.com. Imagine how it will feel when your family and friends are asking you what you did to look so good. Your secret will be Nature's Youth RSF. It's time to start looking better and feeling better. Learn more and order your Nature's Youth RSF at nature'syouth.com. That's nature'syouth.com. That's nature'syouth.com.
Hello, this is Serena Wright Taylor from Conscious Life Expo, and you're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church, who holds the Lucky Pony record for the best astrological chart since 1963. True story.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, night one of our Influencer Week. Billy Carson, Forbidden Knowledge on the Game Changer Network and KGRA The Planet. You can follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. And you've got to join in over on our sandbox hashtag F2B. The images that are getting posted by everyone over there is incredible. And you can also follow Billy at Forbidden Knowledge, and that is the number 4. Right? All right. Hey, so Billy, right before the break, you were talking about laser lattice, and I want to stay on that for a second, because if I'm understanding you correctly, and I've theorized somewhat these kind of thoughts too, in that maybe they rough cutted these, basically, and then maybe heated them in between the joints somehow and caused them to mold into each other. Is that what you're referring to here? What is a laser lattice?
Well, a laser lattice is a little bit different than that. In other words, the lattice itself would be a three-dimensional framework, which was all created by a laser type of a lattice, a structure, in other words, a light structure. And within this light structure, you then take this silicate, which is in a liquid form, which you could take actually from Giza directly. You could take the sand and mix it with a certain amount of water, a certain percentage of water, and create a silicate that can actually dry and harden into a stone. So you take this combination of sand and liquid, and you pour it into this lattice, which is now generated by some type of a very sophisticated computer, almost like a hologram in a way, but a hologram that can actually hold physical matter. So now you pour this liquid rock into this lattice, and then once it hardens to a certain point or sets to a certain point, cures or begins to cure, you then turn the lattice off, and it cures in place. This is just a theory now. It's nothing, there's no hard evidence for this or anything. I just, theorize on different ways that a lot of this stuff could have been done using advanced technology, just based off of hearing a lot of these people and a lot of these archaeologists that are homegrown in these areas that I've been to say that these stones were poured into place.
When you look at Cusco and some of the walls that are down there in Peru, which the stones are, there isn't a real adjective to describe them. They're just stupid. They're huge. And the way that they fit together, and you start to look at them, and of course we ask, well, how did they get, the quarry is 30 miles away over those mountains. So
Right.
How are they getting it over and around and through the mountains to here? These 250-ton stones, not 10-ton, right? I mean, just the size of a house. Yeah. And how are they going to get them here? Well, maybe they didn't. Maybe they were poured because they look too form-fitted. They look organic.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That's the thing. That's the way they look. I mean, and I was there in Cusco, and even throughout the city, some of these ancient walls are in the city itself. And you're looking at them, and it's just like they're molded into place. You still can't put a human hair in between any of these stones after all these thousands of years. And another thing you have to take in consideration is the majority of these stone temples and these stone structures are above the tree line. So you can't go, they rolled them up the mountain with logs and all this other crazy stuff, because there's no trees up there. So they only have shrubs and bushes, because of the lack of oxygen and the gravity, the trees don't grow past a certain height on a mountain. So you're going like, how in the world did they get these things up here? How did they build them? And I think that they, some type of way, did mine this stonework, the stone from a side of a mountain, 30, 40 miles away over another mountain. But they then made it into some type of a powder, maybe added some type of a mixture to it, maybe a secret ingredient that we don't know about that's in this stone. and then and use some type of a technology to allow it to pour into place and create this look that we see, where you can't even pull these stones apart if you tried. I mean, that's
no, you can't. And you look when you look up at some of these walls, and they think, they use the word Inca, which is just nearly laughable, right? But when you look at the walls in Cusco, and especially in the parts of the city where you can see the layers of civilization, right? The oldest in the middle, and then you can see the Spanish influence at the top. And it goes from amazing to crap to utter garbage, right?
Yeah.
But it should be the and there isn't a gradual thing there. Like I said, it's stunning and unbelievable to crap, right? That's second,
how it works.
Yes, and then the top layer is just garbage. It's just it's unbelievable, and it should be the opposite of that, shouldn't it? Shouldn't the fresh technology be stunning and what was done at the top? But it's the opposite, isn't it?
It's the total opposite. And the deeper you look under these megalithic structures, the more megalithic structures you find underneath them, and the more immaculate they get. And like you say, once you now move fast forward into the future, the only thing you can say to yourself is, wow, we have fallen, because we're not even close to this level of sophistication and immaculate settings. I mean, these stones are earthquake proof. They have a way of shifting so that the structure doesn't collapse. And of course, just the sheer size and mass of them, it's just magnificent. It's a magnificent way of building a structure. And then people say, well, why would they build structures this big and with these stones like this? Well, if you're interplanetary civilization, you're traveling from planet to planet, you don't have time to stop there and create a factory and hire people to create all the pieces you need to build all these structures and everything else. The best thing you can do is utilize what's already there on the planet. And if you can take what's there, these silicates and so forth, and make these stone structures that can last for tens of thousands of years, and every time you come back, they're there, it's the best way to go. So what do they do? They travel to these planets and these moons, and they've mastered stonework. They're real, true masons. They've mastered how to create these structures and make them in a way that they last for tens of thousands of years. And when they get back, they're still there. Just like Philip says in the Emerald Tablets, he built the Great Pyramid in a way that it would last for when he returned. It would still be standing there through the ages, and it's still here.
I'm looking at the puma in the wall at Cusco. Man, that is that is insane.
Yeah,
that is just insane. And there's another aspect to this. I'm going to make this brief because I want your response. Is that if I am the leader of the said community that is building these walls in Cusco or any other place, but right now we're talking about Cusco, and I tell my village, my town, I don't know if we can use the word city, but if I'm going to tell them, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're not going to eat. We're not going to do anything. We're going to take all of our manpower every single day, and we need to build this giant wall that is not going to end. Right?
Right.
Now, wait a minute here. You have to where's the motivation? Right? Everybody there is focused on keeping your family safe, surviving the night so you can wake up in the morning and go out and find the food that you're going to come home and make that day. Or we're going to take everybody and we're going to start building these walls, and all of our resources and everything that we have is going to be put into this. Well, why? That's the why. Why were they doing it? What were they protecting themselves from? What else was out there for this type of fortification? And it's magnificent, right? Why? How would I convince the village to do that unless it was really easy and they didn't have to stop farming? They didn't have to stop hunting. They didn't have to do those things because this was no big deal. What's your response when I say that?
I think you're pretty close to accurate. I mean, it wasn't a big deal. It was very easy, very simple to do. The the technique was laid down by the original architect, who probably was there and oversaw the workload, and maybe even a lot of the work may have been done by people that were directly related in the bloodline of the original architect, and maybe not even the general population of humans or humanoids that were on the planet. It could have been mostly built by these Anunnaki type beings in the working class Ijiji that they claim from these the Enuma Elish and the seven tablets of creation. I think that a lot of these fortresses were built to keep people out and to keep and protect, obviously the people on the inside. When you look into some of the texts like the Mahabharata, there's always these big walls that people have to come over, get over to fight. You look in the Bible, you find the walls of Jericho, and they use a frequency technology to bring the walls of Jericho down in the Bible. And when you look in the book of Deuteronomy in the Bible, you find all of these wars that were going on between the gods. These gods were not the God that created the universe in the book of Deuteronomy. These were these Anunnaki beings fighting each other, using human beings as cattle, sending them from one city to another to try to take down the walls of another city to see if they can break through, to take the spoils of war, take the women, take the children, take everything. I mean, this is literally in the Bible. If people read the book of Deuteronomy, it's about wars, and it's about people, advanced people, sending human beings across vast distances to fight for them, to basically acquire more resources and more land and so forth. But it was always about tearing down these walls and attacking people and getting behind these walls. These walls are very, very important things, and it's a way to fortify yourself against intrusion and intruders and people seeking to come and take and steal and rob everything you've got.
And now we have the other interesting part about all of this that just doesn't make any sense. And that is what is going on in Cusco is going on up on the top of Machu Picchu. It's also going on all over Egypt, right? These asymmetrical wall building, rounded corners with stones, things that are repeated on one wall that are repeated on another, and they're mirror images. That is engineering that is not only complex, but extremely advanced. And you would have to ask yourself, why would you do that? Because there's a tremendous waste of materials that you would have to do to build repeating stones and non-repeating stones, right?
Right.
And so where is the shared knowledge, this transoceanic transfer of technology coming from?
It looks like it all stems originally from Iraq. So in Mesopotamia, which was that region was called in ancient times Mesopotamia, and you look at the Enuma Elish or the Epic of Archeo-astronomy or the Epic of Gilgamesh, these are all cuneiform tablets that are in the British Museum or in the Astronomy Museum in Oxford, England. You start to see the storyline here where these people were living hundreds of thousands of years ago in these regions or in that region. And when you look at the structures that are there, you see the structures are built with these same unbelievable stonework, this asymmetrical stones and these twisted joints that connect in a weird way. And then you look over into Egypt after the flood happens, and you see then the same exact architecture now is moving over into Egypt, which was then called the land of Chem. And then as you move down into parts of Africa, you see the same structures. And then as you travel around the world on the 33rd degree parallel, you start to discover these megalithic sites circling the entire planet every so many thousands of miles, all built with the same exact techniques. And that all points to me to one master architect. And the main architect that I can, point to right now it has to be Thoth, Thoth, the Atlantean, who has many names around the planet. But the reason why I point to him is because one of the first things in the record of the Emerald Tablets is where he talks about being sent out to help raise mankind to a high level of civilization in the land of Chem. And the first thing he does is rebuilds, which is what we call Egypt now, but at that time was called Chem. He rebuilds it and brings them up to a high level of civilization. So I'm thinking, again, these people, these advanced beings, they had this technique, they had this technology, and this architecture, this architectural plan. And later on, you find that Thoth leaves Egypt after fighting with his brother for so many years, and decided to go to Mesoamerica and kickstart civilization out there. And what backs this up is when I went to South America and when I went to Mexico and to Tehuacan and the Yucatan and everything else, and these homegrown archaeologists that lived and grew up there all said the same exact thing, and it's actually in their own history as they teach to their kids in school over there, is that the Aztecs and the Mayans did not build, and the Incas did not build any of those structures. This is what they're saying. Those structures were there when they got there. They inherited what was already there. As a matter of fact, the Aztecs were living 30 to 34 or 40 kilometers away from Teotihuacan when the volcano erupted, and then they basically had to leave the area, and they stumbled into Teotihuacan and took it over. They just kind of moved right on in. So they built nothing. So this is the story that you hear everywhere you go. You go to Egypt, you discover that they're all saying the same thing. The people here weren't slaves. Nobody built this stuff. This stuff was here when the Pharaonic dynasty started. So it's like, wow, wait a minute. They inherited this stuff was already there. And I'm hearing the same story everywhere I go. It was already there. And Cambodia, the same thing. So this is interesting stuff, man. It's really intriguing.
The same thing with Machu Picchu, I assume.
Yes, Machu Picchu, the same exact thing, already there. This is why I used to ask the question all the time. I'm going, because I went to Chichen Itza 20 years ago, 23 years ago now. And back then I was even going, why in the world would they be sacrificing, virgins and throwing them into this lake and chopping people's heads off at the top of the pyramid to make the gods, make it rain and all this crazy stuff. But at the same time, they're technologically advanced to build pyramids like this. It didn't make any sense to me until more recently when I got into literally researching more of this ancient text and discovering that and traveling the world that these people inherited what was there, and they really were just cargo cults. They were cargo cults, and some of them were used by the gods or these ancient Annunaki people for mining and gaining resources. But that what was there was already done by these advanced beings, and they just kind of were able to inhabit them or inherit them. And they later became cargo cults, and they would come up with these elaborate, rituals in order to try to make the gods come back, which obviously never worked.
I was watching a documentary a couple of weeks ago, and about some of these new Mayan temples that they have found down in Central America, and so they're out in the middle of the jungle. Overgrown, massive, beautiful pyramids. And that were recently discovered that aren't part of they're part of the archaeological record now, but nobody knew about them 5-10 years ago. So anyway, this is part of the documentary. And this guy is standing at the bottom of these steps of this pyramid, medium sized, pretty big, barely covered, like from the air you wouldn't see it, right? The treetops were just now clearing it. But anyway, so now they're starting to open up this area, and he's standing down there at the bottom of this pyramid, massive stones, and it's gorgeous, man. It's like it's brand new. And this is what he said. He goes, now they did all of this without the wheel. Now, so right. And I'm like, is he even listening to himself? Exactly the point. Okay, you're trying to say they did it without the wheel. So just stop yourself right there and ask yourself that question. How did they do it? That's all. If you're telling me they did it without the wheel, which is like way beyond impossible, some kind of wheel, if you're telling me that they moved these stones on their own and they quarried these on their own and they did this, well, then how did they get the stones here? And I want to hear your story. But what they want to do is have us just say to ourselves, well, wow, that's pretty amazing. They did that without the wheel. They carried it on their backs, right?
It's crazy. It's so crazy and outlandish, and people just roll with it. It's just because they don't want to drop the ego and admit that, we are not the pinnacle, that there was something and somebody here way more advanced than us thousands of years ago, and they don't want to let go of the fact that they want to believe that we are at the top of the food chain,
Yeah, and there's one other for me. What was that? Hold on, something just Are you there?
I'm here.
Yeah, something. I don't know if you guys heard that. Oh, wow. Was that on camera? Did you guys see that? My Thoth sarcophagus fell on the floor.
Oh, wow. Wow, that's crazy. I heard a vibration back there.
I knew it was heavy, but because of how loud it was when it hit the floor, I'm holding it up. Look. And this is wow. Yeah, somebody said it sounded like a guitar dropped. Wow,
yeah, it did.
Man, my wow. It's thick and heavy. Okay, that's me putting it back.
Okay.
Wow. I think I peed on myself a little bit. That freaked me out.
To the halls of Amenti.
Well, see, the thing is, that had to have been caught on camera because it was behind me. Somebody tell me what happened. Oh, man. Okay, that was weird. What were we just talking about? I just completely...
We're just talking about these new Mayan temples discovered and how they possibly could have moved the stones and, and gotten them to where they were. And the guy said the wheel was, they did all this without the wheel.
Yeah, that's where I was going, which is they want us to accept that they had metallurgy, right? They could work with gold and silver and copper. They could do all of that, but they didn't have the wheel. But yet they had the ability to carve these rocks, to quarry these rocks, to build these magnificent temples, to have paint and be able to paint things. And have all of this technology, right? Mm-hmm. But they technically didn't have a written language. They technically didn't have this. The same thing with the Aztecs, right? That there's no written record of, but they could pull this off. And it's funny to have somebody deadpan into the camera and make these statements. It's just funny to me. It's like they don't listen to themselves.
Yeah, I know. Or they're reading a script that's put out to them by the elite oligarchs that want to keep guiding us down this path of ignorance,
Let's take a break right here, Billy, and I want to continue our little tour around the world. You did have an amazing year this year, and so let's continue our forbidden knowledge conversation with Billy Carson after this short break. I'm your host, Jimmy Church, and this is Fade to Black. I've got somebody in here pushing my sarcophagi around. I'll be right back.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Hurricanes, earthquakes, wildfires. This year we've experienced more than our fair share. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and last month I decided to make sure my family does not have to worry about food should we get caught in a real emergency situation. Introducing Numana, a healthy, storable product that tastes so good that you'll want to eat it every day instead of just during those times of duress. All Numana products have a 25-year shelf life, are MSG and GMO-free, no preservatives, and are made in America. With the Numana pack in your home, you'll be able to sleep at night knowing that you've protected your family. Not only have I tasted and tested, I own it. Now you can too. Just click on the Numana banner on JimmyChurchRadio.com and use the promo code Jimmy when you order. In addition to a discount, we'll send you an autographed Fade to Black t-shirt. Seriously. Go Beckley Tappy. Do you want to be an official Fadernaut? Of course you do. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black. Just go to our membership section at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
You listen to us, and we listen to you. And so does the CIA. KGRARadio.com.
If you have hard water, the lime scale not only leaves white spots, it clogs pipes and breaks down appliances, costing you hundreds of dollars in energy and wear. Eliminate lime scale and other water issues like brown staining and bad odors with HydroCare water products, available from Wave Home Solutions. Wave's affordable water systems don't use salts or chemicals. You'll love the way your water tastes, smells, and looks. Satisfaction guaranteed. For more information, go to bestwater123.com. That's bestwater123.com.
Are you intrigued by paranormal talk radio? You'll love the new paranormal radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the paranormal radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the paranormal radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Welcome back. Fade to Black. Got a poltergeist going on in here. So somebody said that in the video playback, it looked like my chair might have hit the desk. I didn't feel my chair hit anything, but anything is possible. I was looking at the video playback of me reacting to it. I saw that, but I didn't feel my chair hit anything. But that was pretty bizarre. Okay, Billy. I want to ask you a couple of questions about technology today really quick. Over the weekend, I had Tessa B. Dick, Philip K. Dick's wife on Coast to Coast. And it made me go back and think about the movie Blade Runner when somebody says, you talk about a futurist, and I'm not so sure if we're in Blade Runner today. And I think that we are, but this is where I'm going with this thought. We certainly have AI and robotics, and that's taking off. And is it Blade Runner-ish? Well, we're getting really close to it. But if there is a city right now that represents Blade Runner, I would say it's Hong Kong, right?
Yeah.
And you were there. How does Hong Kong make you feel? Are you in the future when you are there?
You're definitely in the future. I mean, we're there, I'm pretty sure they're still holding back as to what they can really put out, just because, there are some restrictions globally by some of the elites, but they have really integrated a lot of technology into their structures, into all their, their things that you would consider that wouldn't even need technology if integrated technology into clothing. Their watches, everything is so high tech over there. Everything you look at, even their whole their billboards and everything else, just far more advanced than what we see here over in America. It's just really amazing what they've done, and they have really kind of set a precedent, I think, for being the forerunners in terms of integrating technology into everything. Even the airplane that I took had a lot more advanced technology just in the seat backs and everything else. And it's like, man, they could be the technological leader. It's lucky for America that they haven't taken over space yet, probably just because of embargoes or the fact that we've probably threatened them not to, or to cut them off from some resources that they haven't taken over space.
Does it ever cross your mind when you look at a city like Hong Kong and you sit back and you look and you think to yourself, how is this infrastructure put together? How is their internet and electricity and plumbing into every single dwelling? Everything that I'm looking at here with a light on it is part of the infrastructure. It's got to be insanely complex with a city like Hong Kong.
Oh, insanely complex. And a lot of it's built right at the edge of the water. And you have these gigantic, massive, buildings, these high rises that are sitting there that weigh hundreds of, maybe even tens of thousands of tons right at the edge of the water. But the way that they've gotten them all lit up, all the technology that's involved, the integration that's involved, a lot of the face recognition technology and the automation, the artificial intelligence, it's all built into the city. It's really an amazing sight to see.
And same thing, I would think, with Singapore, too, as well.
Oh, Singapore is just on the same level as Hong Kong. Very high tech. I've had a matter of fact at the Singapore airport. There's an actual like a solarium there with a river running through it, and like a I don't know if it's like a garden that I saw with trees, and you could sit down there and have. It's almost like you're at a summer park, having a little lunch or brunch. It's just crazy. This is inside the airport. Very high tech. Fish in the pond and everything else. It was really nice. But the city itself, very high tech. Super massive high rises, highly advanced technological structures, electric, cars, electric buses, just kind of really where we need to be over here as well. I mean, we're kind of a little bit lagging behind with these combustion engines and so forth. They've got super massive buses that, run on electricity. Their mail service runs on electricity. Nothing is really running on gas there. And of course, there's so many people, so they've really reduced the amount of vehicles, and a lot of people are riding electric bikes and so forth.
Man, that's what I was leading to. When you look at the United States, we don't have a city like Hong Kong. We don't have a city here. And when you look at New York is just built upon what was there in. I love New York. It's probably the greatest city in the world. There's no question about that, and I love that city. Yeah. But it's just old technology, right? It's just a city. We don't have a focus like other cities around the world on infrastructure and high tech and advancement. We don't do that here. Why do you think that is?
It's all about politics and money and lobbying, and so what happens is a lot of people are in for the take. They want things to progress as slowly as possible so they can milk the system and get paid as much as they possibly can off of very small incremental advancements, instead of just doing a complete flip the switch. Let's knock this stuff down, or let's build around it and slowly but surely, get to the point where we've knocked it all out and we've built it up from the ground up, and put a lot of the advanced technology that we need to put into it, make this place green, or as green as possible. Let's get away from the combustion engine. But there's so many people, these lobbyists and these elites and these people who are influencing the futures and the markets, and they just really have hurt the United States significantly and put us in a position where it's so corrupt. But from the point of view of like the citizen, they can't see it all because a lot of it's behind closed doors. But there's so many people taking what I call submarine money and getting paid off. And we've got bridges collapsing here. We've got bridges that the structures are cracked and the buildings are falling apart. There's areas here of the San Madrid fault line, which runs up and through the Midwest. The buildings there, when the San Madrid fault line goes and the earthquake comes, it's going to come again. We're overdue for an earthquake there. Mm-hmm. That's going to crumble all the structures in the Midwest of the United States, all the way up to New York. There's going to be all those brick buildings that aren't prepared for this. All those old structures are going to just fall apart and collapse. it's going to be a nightmare. It's going to be an absolute nightmare.
And why haven't we learned that lesson? Because obviously they did when the walls of Cusco were built or the Great Pyramids were built. They are still standing. They are seriously earthquake proof. They have survived every natural disaster. But yet our highway system, which was built 60 years ago, that's it. 60 years ago is crumbling in 60 years. Right? It's the way that we built this country. If we didn't touch it, imagine it in 5,000 years. Is it still going to be crisp and beautiful like the Great Pyramids? No.
No, it wouldn't even be able to detect it. It'd be like it would be like the forest took it over.
That's right.
And part of the reasons why is, like, for example, with our streets crumble and fall apart within just a couple of years because we use an inferior product to make the streets and to pave them. When you look at the airports that we have, the concrete used at the airport doesn't crumble and fall apart like it would, a city street. Why is that? It's made more superior. But again, they realize that if you make a street like you make a runway, then it won't crumble and fall apart. And now we don't have to get people to go out there, dig it up, and put it back down again to justify wages and so forth. It's a way of saying, oh, we've got an employment rate increase because we got people digging a hole in the street and reburying the same stuff across the other side of the street and running a machine over it and laying it back down. It's just a waste of resources, a waste of energy, a waste of time. We have tires that will never go flat, will never wear out, but they won't put those on cars because then you can't buy more tires. You won't have to buy any more tires. These are just the types of things that we do. So we build these structures inferior and knowing that they're going to crumble and fall apart. Parts of them are going to break at specific times because it's going to generate more revenue. It's a backwards way of thinking. It's the same way of thinking, let's go to war so we can increase our economy. It's just the dumbest, most backwards way of thinking. But unfortunately, that's the type of system that we're in over here in the West.
We, here in Los Angeles, and this happened about 5 years ago, we had this rash of exploding water pipes under streets all over the city. And I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute, the city isn't but 100 years old, right? We had a centennial, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's barely 100 years old. And I'm not joking about this. Pasadena was founded in 1884, right?
Wow.
Okay, so in 1984, when I first moved here, everybody was starting to celebrate, these 100-year anniversaries. And Los Angeles and Hollywood, we're talking about 1900 here. It's not an old city. So most of the infrastructure as the city was built and expanded, this stuff is 50 years old, 60 years old. It's new stuff. But the pipes in the streets in the San Fernando Valley and around downtown Los Angeles were just exploding. And I'm thinking, wait a minute here. The Sphinx is standing, right?
Yeah, right.
How is it that in 1950 that we can't build pipes that last? And they're talking about, pulling everything up and reinstalling it. It's exactly what you're talking about there. A total waste of everything. What's it going to take? How do we change that consciousness, that mindset in everybody where we've got to do things correct from the word go and use this technology to do it and do it in a green way that lasts forever and we don't waste resources? It seems so fundamental to me.
It is really fundamental. And what's happened is, to be honest with you, it's our fault. Our fault meaning the 7.5 billion people on this planet that let the 100 ruling families do whatever they want, dominate us, control what type of technology we have access to and what we don't have access to, and control the infrastructures and everything else that we're living under. And it's our fault. The reason why I say it's our fault is because we have allowed less than 100 people to dominate and control 7.5 billion people. We've literally allowed it. We have to point at ourselves. We have to look in the mirror and point at ourselves and say, you know what? This is our fault. Our fault. How? By silence, by not speaking up, by collusion of just participating in the system. And what I mean is we're participating in every system they have. We're participating in the political system. We're participating in the institutional systems, in the pharmaceutical and medical systems. We're participating in the school, in the jail system. We're participating everywhere you look. We're participating in the sham, in the matrix. We're actively a part of it, and then we want to complain that we're in it, but we've allowed ourselves to be in it. When all we have to do is one thing, we all have to collectively say no. There's 310 million Americans. Out of that, there's 190 million that are adults. Out of those 190 million adults, about 125 million actually have jobs. And if even just 20 of those 125 million working Americans just said Monday morning, you know what, we're done. We're not going to go to work. I'm not going to buy gas. I'm going to take all my money out of the bank. I'm not going to pay my mortgage. I'm not paying taxes. We're not doing anything else until we restructure this economic system. And when people get enough strength inside of them to come together in unification and do that and just say no and actually stop, all on a mass basis like that, no war needed, no fighting in the streets, no revolution, no guns needed, none of that. Just say no and stop. Just stop. The system would have to reset, reboot within a week. It would be down and collapse. Then we'd have to reboot it. And then they would have to come to us to negotiate our terms, which would be, of course, get rid of the central banking system, get rid of this political system that we're under right now. We need to restructure this entire system into a resource-based system and a system where your achievement or your level in society is based on how good you are at what you do, not how much you can sham somebody and stuff money in their pocket to get your laws to go through.
Yeah, I find it unbelievable to me that you can have guys that are working in the financial sector, whether it's a hedge fund or something like that, that pushes a button or makes a decision and shuffles papers around and can make, $5 billion a year. Some crazy astronomical amount of money. And is that fair to somebody that is literally working, no matter what it is? Yeah. But right. I'm just talking about literally working. And you have to back up and go, that's only going to run for so long. And I'm not some socialist crazy, I'm all about capitalism. I'm all about being creative and going out there and making yours. And if you can figure out a way to do it, well, then God bless you, man. Go out there and knock some walls down and make it happen. But it's the other part that is gotten so out of whack. And we wonder why when we talk about a 1%er, it's not even the 1%er now. The 1%ers are poor. It's that 10th of 1% that is literally making all of the money. And for doing nothing productive. Nothing. For hedging bets. Hedging bets. And you have to ask yourself, how do we get here? And then everything else suffers. Right? Everything suffers. The infrastructure, the schools, us, our medical systems, and everything else suffers because of some greed and shuffling of papers at the very top, and they aren't paying taxes. And again, I'm not some crazy socialist thing, or that's not even what I'm suggesting here. It's just we've allowed it to get out of whack, and we've been complacent in the game because we want to just keep our heads in the sand.
Exactly. Want to keep our heads in the sand, stay safe, play it safe, play along, get through my life, and pass the problem on to the next generation, and hopefully somebody will figure something out in the future.
Now,
that's been the mode.
Well, all of the everything that we're talking about right now is in the compendium, right? If we take the words of Thoth and the Emerald Tablets, all of that can be applied to the conversation that we are having right now, can't it?
Absolutely, sure can. All of it.
Why?
Every single bit of it.
What made them so wise? In that, were they going through the same things that we are going through now? Did they learn their lessons?
Yeah, they went through the same exact things, and I think what made them really wise is the fact that they had thousands of years to learn their lessons. Their lifespans are super long, but still are super long lifespans, and it's not magic and it's not mysticism. They're living a long time because they have advanced technology, just like we're getting to the point now where we can 3D print organs. We can shorten we can extend the lifespan of the telomeres in our chromosome number 2 so we can live longer. All these things we're just now getting to, they've had hundreds of thousands of years, maybe even millions of years ago. So they had developed the ability to live a very long time. When you live a very long time, you have the ability to become very, very wise. You start to have the ability to figure things out because time has been now on your side. You've developed a lot more information. You've learned a lot more information. You've studied and researched a lot more, and your society has developed a lot better over many, many millennia. And I think that was one of the reasons why they were so wise and had learned not only all the information about economics and physics and metaphysics, they even learned how to manipulate the ether of space-time itself. And that all just comes with time. And us as humans, we have the capability of ascending to those levels of technology and consciousness. Again, it is just taking time. We're in a cycle of the yugas right now. I think we're in the Tetra Yuga, probably heading up, eventually into the Silver Age, trying to usher ourselves back into the Golden Age again, where people will live extended lifespans and there will be no wars for extended period of time, and there will be just nothing but gaining knowledge and wisdom. So we're headed back in that, to that era. It's just a cycle. We're living in a cyclical universe where these cycles of rise and falls happen. And just like right now, there's this elite oligarch running the world, this cabal that's running the world. That won't even last forever because nothing lasts forever due to the second law of thermodynamics and entropy. Everything starts over as an organized system and moves towards disorganization. So even eventually that will fall as well.
You bring up a couple of important points, and we're going to get back to telomeres in a second because that is something. Well, we'll do that after the break. I'm fascinated with that. But is it that they just don't want us to learn those lessons from the Emerald Tablets that the ancients went through, that have preserved for us, so we don't crash and burn, right? And that we learn the respect in ourselves and others. So there's that part of it. But if we figure this out. And I don't want to sound like some new agey crystal, I don't want to sound like that. But if we learn that, then they don't have the control. And it almost seems that simple to me.
Yeah, it really is that simple. Once we learn the lessons that's in that book, literally they lose control of us because we won't allow them to control us. We will be the gods of ourselves, and we will be the presidents of ourselves and the rulers of ourselves. And we will work in unification, unconditional love towards each other, and we'll look to seek to create a better life on this planet and treat the planet with more respect, as well as create something for prosperity.
I think we all understand, even the very top, the elites. We all understand now what it would take to fix things and make things right for all 7 billion of everybody on this planet. Everybody. Mm-hmm. We have the resources and the ability to make sure that everybody has respect, right? Yep. That everybody on this planet, but we don't do it. And you have to step back and ask yourself why. What it is, we could fix everything very easily. We have the resources, the infrastructure, the logistical sides to feed, clothe, educate, and everybody on this planet to have the respect that they deserve as Earthlings, but we don't do it. We simply don't do it. Why?
We're still not grown up yet. We have a lot more growing up to do. As a species, we are just now starting to try to crawl. Eventually we'll be able to walk and then run. I think running is when we really develop that true unconditional love towards one another and the planet. And when we get to that point where we drop ego and we really begin to understand what unconditional love is, which is the most powerful force in the universe, love one another, truly love your neighbor, and treat them as an equal. And then you'll see things change because people will respect one another. People will work together for a common goal. And you'll see everything completely flip and turn around on this planet at that point. Right now, everything is for me. What can I do for me, me? And screw everybody else. And I'm a squirrel that's got to collect my nuts and forget everyone else. But once we change that mindset around, and we will, and grow up, I think that we'll develop into a super advanced technological society, as well as probably an interplanetary civilization.
Do we have a problem here, though, Billy? Are we going against what is natural with entropy, in that it's going to disintegrate, and we are, we're trying to go upstream against something that naturally is going to happen anyway?
Well, I think it naturally will happen, but I think that we're kind of the catalyst for speeding the process up of breaking down this system and helping usher in a new system. We're kind of like the pioneers of that, and I believe that in every cycle you always have pioneers. Whenever you look into the history books or look into things in the past, you always find a catalyst, right, or a group of pioneers that kind of help kickstart something into the next mode. And I believe that the conscious community is part of that catalyst that's helping kickstart the movement of consciousness into a higher dimension, meaning that people are going to be thinking from a higher vibration, seeing things for what they truly are, trusting, believing, loving themselves, looking within for salvation instead of looking externally for salvation, and finding an unconditional love, which is going to help us get to a point where we're now walking and maybe eventually running. And I think that the elites don't want that to happen, because then they'll lose control over us, and which means that economic systems will collapse, religious systems will collapse, pharmaceutical systems will collapse, because we can go right back to what we used to do, use the homeopathic medicines and so forth, and probably be much more healthier than we are right now, and living a lot longer too.
Well, are we speeding up entropy? When you look at, especially just like the last 3 years, we went, it's 2015 to us is going to seem like the golden days, right? Mm-hmm. Compared to what the way things have unraveled in 2017 and 2018 very, very quickly. It's like we can't get out of our own way, and we know it's happening. We're talking about it every day. We're talking about the divisiveness of the world and the darkness. It's not just you and I in the conscious community. It's everybody is talking about what's going on. We can't seem to stop ourselves.
It's speeding up. There's no doubt about it. Entropy is definitely speeding up. The system is getting very weak. It's like these old bridges in America, all the cracks and ready to collapse. And I feel that, the movement has really put, and especially since 2012 is really when it really kick-started to another level. It jumped to another level in 2012. And I really do believe that the movement, this conscious movement, is becoming a great force, because people who haven't even been to a lecture or a workshop or a conference are now starting to talk about eating healthier, organics and non-GMO, and they're talking about the type of information that's on TV not being healthy for their families and their kids. I hear them in restaurants. I hear them at the mall talking. I hear conversations everywhere, conversations that I never would have heard 5 years ago, 4 years ago. I'm hearing people who are not involved in the conscious movement now having these conversations openly out in public, talking about aliens, talking about life on other planets, UFOs, and everything else. So I think that the entropy is speeding up. The system is becoming extremely weak, and eventually will collapse at some point, and it'll be time for a new paradigm.
Rita came home the other night. She goes, "You're not going to believe what Deanna and I just saw." And I said, "Well, I was at Coast, right?" And they went out.
Yeah.
And they said that they saw this family get out of this car. I'm not going to get into any more descriptions than that. But the son gets out of the car, the youngest. He's like 8 years old, with AirPods hanging out of his ears. Yeezys. He's wearing Yeezys, man. And yeah. And then, fancy iPhone X. And I'm like, well, there it is. There's the collapse of the Western civilization right there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Let's take a break right here. Our guest tonight, Billy Carson. When we come back, Billy, I can't believe you brought up telomeres. So right where I need to go. And for those out there that don't know what we're going to talk about, look it up. Telomere. It's amazing. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Hi, everybody. This is Rob Halford, the Metal Guard on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station. Salt Lake City, Utah. Van Buren, Arkansas.
Poor water quality is a major health issue, and it's only getting worse. Municipalities can't keep up, standards have dropped, and pollutants are increasing. Where does it all end? It ends by keeping the pollutants outside of your home with HydroCare's advanced systems available at Wave Home Solutions. No less than the best purification materials and processes have been developed by HydroCare to provide you with healthy, clean water for drinking, cooking, and showering. HydroCare far surpasses the competition in removing chlorine, odors, iron, lead, chemicals, limescale, and much more. Don't settle for less when it comes to your water. We'll take care of the toughest water problems for you, whether it's from a city or well source. Satisfaction guaranteed. For more information, call 888-997-WAVE. That's 888-997-WAVE. Or go to bestwater123.com. That's bestwater123.com.
Wave Home Solutions for a healthy, comfortable home.
Your contact for current news and trending topics. KGRAradio.com.
Does your basement or crawl space have a damp, musty smell? Well, watch out. That's a sign of too much moisture and not enough ventilation. And that can mean increased mold growth and the buildup of harmful toxins and gases. Don't bother with a dehumidifier. It just circulates the same unhealthy air. Now there's a better way to remove these dangers and odors. It's with the computerized Wave Moisture Control Unit that reduces moisture and expels pollutants.
We replaced our old dehumidifier with the Wave unit, and in only 3 weeks, our basement is dry and the musty smell is gone.
Wave units require no maintenance, no buckets of water or filters, and costs only pennies a day to run. Breathe better, live healthier with an affordable, no-maintenance Wave unit. Call 888-717-WAVE, 888-717-WAVE, or visit dryhealthyhome.com. Dryhealthyhome.com.
Ride the wave. Wave Home Solutions for a healthy, comfortable home.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I only drink Fade to Black blend coffee from Rivermoon. Just click on the Rivermoon Coffee banner at jimmychurchradio.com. Promo code F2B Blend.
So are you tired of being tired? Well, then it's time to get the tea. Hey, it's Lisa here to tell you about this all-natural, all-organic tea I've been drinking that has had great results for over 20 years. It's called Life Change Tea, and it's specially formulated to help detoxify and cleanse your kidneys, liver, colon, and blood all at once. The colon is one of the most ignored organs in the human body. The faster that waste is eliminated from the body, the less time that waste sits in our intestines, spreading toxins to our bloodstream. This tea helps cleanse chemicals caused by outside intruders from our entire digestive system. And get this, weight loss can be a side effect. And with continued use of the tea, you can experience clearer, healthier, younger looking skin, increased energy, and a happier outlook on life. So if you're tired of being tired, get the Life Change Tea at getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. And like me, you'll be glad you did.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of Fade to Black by just calling 605-562-4482. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Just call 605-562-4482. You can listen to me, Jimmy Church, on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Go back, Lee Tappy.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why Fade to Black? Because you never got that pony, damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Billy Carson. Night one of our Influencer Week. I'm going to have to ask Billy, He's got correct speech. Billy, how do you say it? Influencer? How do you say it? Billy. Hit your mute button, Billy. Did I lose Billy Carson? Oh, man. All right. I'm going to wait for Billy to come back here. I'm going to leave the line open. He's probably getting something to drink. Is that you guys just posted that I was talking about Thoth. We were when the Thoth sarcophagus fell over. That's weird because we were. And I asked everybody out there, I popped this up in Twitter. Did I step out of line? Were we being cool? Did I say anything? The ghost of has silenced Billy. Billy. Who remembers Ted Knight in the movie Caddyshack? He had his putter, the Scottish putter that was given to him from Scotland. He called it Billy. And so in the movie, he would, oh, Billy. So we got to invoke Billy here. Billy. All right, I'm going to put him on mute, and I'm going to bring him back. I'm going to do the hard call here. That's pretty bizarre. He just disappeared. But anyway, back to Thoth. So, yeah, we were talking about Thoth when it fell over. Okay. Billy, are you there?
I'm here, yeah. I dropped for some reason. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, okay, that was weird. So they were posting. Could you hear me, by the way?
No, I couldn't hear you.
Okay, it was posted up in Twitter that we were talking about Thoth when the statue fell over.
Oh, wow. That's incredible.
Yeah. And I was like, man, did I step out of line? Did I say anything bad? It's
just letting us know, man. He's still here.
All right, telomeres. Now, when you brought that up, this is the synchronicity of the universe working. So, I was watching a lecture about telomeres last week, and now telomeres. I want everybody to understand the definition and what's going on here. Telomeres control our aging, and it's this little end cap at the end of a chromosome. And they start to, while we are young, we are fully telomered out, right? And as we age, the telomeres start to slow down and stop reproducing on the ends of the chromosomes, and then we start to age. And we understand this now, right? And there is tech out there, fully established tech that can stop this. We know what causes aging, and it's telomeres. They're not going to share that with the common man, are they?
No, not at all. As a matter of fact, a study done at Harvard University where they took the telomeres and stopped them from shrinking in mice and allowed the mice to live 3 times their normal lifespan is proof that the technology is being perfected. When they start showing you that they're doing it successfully on animals, it means that it's already been done and probably tested far long before that point. And one of the problems that we'll have here now is the fact that, okay, now a human being can live 130, 140, 200 years, 300 years old. So now they have that power. If we don't take back control of this system, what they'll eventually do is sell us time. And that's the problem we're looking at.
Yeah, I'm reading here. Telomeres are the caps at the end of each strand of DNA that protect our chromosomes, like the plastic tips on the ends of shoelaces. Without the coating, shoelaces become frayed until they no longer do their job. Just as without telomeres, DNA strands become damaged and our cells can't do their job. We totally understand it. We totally get it.
Yep, absolutely. And the thing that's amazing about this telomere problem, or that now we've pretty much been able to resolve scientifically, at least in the lab, is that chromosome number 2 is where the issue is. Now, chromosome number 2, scientists now all agree that the chromosome number 2 was fused together sometime in the distant past, and they can't figure out how it happened. So somewhere in the distant past, a geneticist went into humanoid Homo sapien, took out chromosome number 2, fused it together, and embedded it back into the genome so that when we replicate ourselves as human beings through birth, chromosome number 2 is fused with 2 telomere caps, one on each end. This is an amazing, amazing thing that is now agreed upon by mainstream scientists, but they just can't figure out how it happened. Well, when you look into the ancient text, you discover that these Anunnaki beings in the Enuma Elish, 7 tablets of creation, which, by the way, predate any Zechariah Sitchin translations. This stuff, matter of fact, he used these translations, which were hundreds of years older than himself. He wasn't even, born yet when these translations were made. Talk about these beings genetically modifying an existing hominid on this planet. Now, when you go into some of these texts and you realize the Tower of Babel incident, which is in the Bible and also in the Sumerian text, where these human beings were all working together as one, unified, building this tower to the heavens, which some say may have been a spaceport, some say just may have been a building or structure they were trying to mimic of the Anunnaki. Whatever. At some point, Yahweh in the Bible or in the Sumerian version, Enlil, comes back and sees this tower, decides to destroy it because he realizes that human beings working together can accomplish anything, and then takes the people and spreads them all around the planet, changes the languages, and then says, in the Bible it says these exact words, my seed shall not abide in man forever, his years shall be 120. It says the same thing in the Sumerian tablets, because that's where they copied it from, actually, in the Bible. But the point that I'm making here is that these scientists discovered that under the most pristine conditions, the most that a human being can live based on telomeres is 120 years. So there's the confirmation that this chromosome and this telomere thing is real. And of course, we're only averaging about 75 to 80 years just because of the poisons and everything else that we've done to ourselves. But we should be living to around 120. But now they've then discovered that, okay, the telomeres are shrinking. Just like the buffer on a YouTube channel, they're there to keep the replication going of the DNA strands in the cells. But once they run out, the body starts the death process. And now they've learned how to stop these caps from shrinking, which means that technically a human being may have unlimited lifespans, especially if we can continue to develop technologies like 3D printing of organs and bionic eyes and everything else. We literally can continue to extend ourselves.
With the, when they call us, you and I and, humans, primates, that's where I disagree, because primates have 48 pairs. We have 46 because of number 2, which was fused together. And therefore, I don't care what anybody says, we are not primates. Okay, so that just stops right there. But those geneticists, whoever did the snip so long ago, that took us probably from 48 pair, maybe we had more, I don't know, but took us from 48 to 46. They did that for a reason. Is it because, and I may be stretching here, but is it because maybe the Anunnaki had 46 pairs? And they wanted us, as they were creating us and altered us, that they made it 46, so maybe we could cross-pollinate.
It's very possible, because when you look into the ancient texts, you discover that they had a lot of problems getting humans to replicate. First, they started with a cloning program, and this is before Homo sapiens. There were existing, humanoids on this planet. We weren't Homo sapiens yet. Those were our cousins. And they were cloning them. They were trying to make a workforce. That wasn't working out. Wasn't moving fast enough.
Are you talking about
long enough.
Are you talking about like Australopithecus and
far
back?
Some of these, even further back than them. I'm talking about now. When you look at a lot of these bodies that are being found all over the planet. Elongated skulls and so forth. I believe that a lot of those, because there's so many of them, that those are our cousins, and that it's probably most likely they were more advanced than us as Homo sapiens. They were probably more advanced than us back then, not technologically, but maybe spiritually. I believe that they probably had a lot more of their DNA connected. Right now, we have a lot of quote unquote junk DNA. We've been disconnected, We don't even use the magnetite crystals in our brains anymore. They probably use those magnetite crystals to navigate the planet, to get information directly from the planet itself, just like birds and all the other wild animals do.
Right.
I think that we've been degraded instead of upgraded to be a Homo sapien. And it's possible that they gave us the fusion to match their peers, because one of the things that they've done in the ancient text was they were having so much trouble getting the duplication of humans that one of them, meaning one of the Annunaki women, decided to actually give birth. So they took the egg out of an existing hominid, cleaned out the genetic material, replaced it with Anunnaki material, and then put it inside of her womb, and she took it to full term, actually in 10 months, and gave birth to the Adamu, which means first man, which then obviously got later copied, plagiarized into the modern-day Bible as Adam, but the Adamu meaning first man. And so we have to genetically match their physiology in order for that to happen. And I think that some of these modifications were to allow that to happen. But as well, they did disconnect a lot of our DNA and our higher functions and shrunk our skulls, as well as, I think, even shrunk our pineal glands.
When that happened, is that when the genetic modifications happened to take us to the 46 pairs?
Yes, exactly. That's what took us down to 46 pairs. I think to make a match for them genetically to be able to give, give birth, genetically match us to where we can work. Because what they were having a problem with was replication. In other words, these humans that they had been tampering with were having problems sexually reproducing. So they created this Adamu, and then the Adamu, what they said was, wow, he can't procreate with some of these existing people that we created. So they then took some DNA out of Adam and genetically created a female. It wasn't they took his rib out. It was just that they took some DNA from him and used that DNA to genetically create a female that he could then sexually, procreate with, and it worked. And that's when they said, okay, we've got it.
What do you, and I've tried to find this out, and it's difficult. You would think it'd be easy. With Neanderthal and Cro-Magnon and Australopithecus as well, what were the chromosome pair counts on them, on Neanderthal and Cro-Magnon? Were they 46 or 48?
That's a very good question. I haven't looked into that in depth. I know that some of the DNA hasn't really fully been analyzed properly because of the age of the DNA, so that's one of the issues that we're facing now with Neanderthal, which is a lot more newer on the geological time scale. I haven't researched him directly to find out how many pairs he exactly had. So that's actually a very, very good question.
Yeah, because when we hear, this is what I find strange, is that, we've got Neanderthal DNA in us, right? Wait a minute. What was the chromosome count on that? And for somebody to have the knowledge, I don't think, and this is, I had a PhD anthropologist and biologist on the show a couple of months ago, and we were actually talking about time travel and aspects of it. But this is a researched, tenured professor, right? And so I got into the chromosome count discussion with him, and he was like, it was just natural. It just happened. What do you mean? How? I mean, what happened? Somebody was struck by lightning? How does it just happen? Specifically, right. Yeah, I know, and I'm not going to tease him, but it was a very strange. Yeah, well, we kind of talk about it, but it's really not that big of a deal. Yes, it is. It's a very, very, very big deal. It was fused. It did happen, and it seems that somebody had that knowledge to go in, cut, snip, fuse, and then send us on our way. We are just finding out about DNA now in this lifetime. This is new stuff. Somebody had this knowledge a very long time ago, didn't they?
Yep, a very, very long time ago. Somebody had super advanced knowledge of genetics and biology, and they had everything mapped. The genome was already mapped. We've only now just rediscovered how to map the genome. It was already done in ancient times.
When we do this Anunnaki discussion, and the critics or the debunkers of Sitchin or anybody that wants to take down the Sumerian text says that it isn't actually saying this. And I don't know how they're reading it or how they're interpreting it, but I've looked at the direct translations out of the University of Chicago, and I read some pretty fantastical stuff that can't be coming from fantasy or ancient Stone Age man science fiction, right? I don't see it that way. Do you?
No, not at all. I think that a lot of people try, and still to this very day, if you ask a lot of people who are trying to debunk the tablets, they go, "Oh, Zechariah Sitchin was the only person that could decipher these tablets," and no, they're not even close to knowing the truth. First of all, Zechariah Sitchin didn't decipher the Sumerian tablets. Okay, that's the first and most important thing I think people need to understand. He took translations that were already in existence, and then he added his take or tried to put the pieces of the puzzle together from adding parts of the biblical version, the Mahabharata, the Bhagavad Gita, the Indian Vedas. He took all these different texts from around the world and different civilizations, and he tried to paint a picture and fit the pieces of the puzzle together, and then he wrote books about it. And then created his interpretations. So he included very, very good reference material and sources in all of his books where everything came from. And then when you look at the parts of his books that are relying on Sumerian tablets, specifically, you're talking about the Enuma Elish and the Seven Tablets of Creation, and you're talking about the Epic of Atra-Aces, and you're talking about the Epic of Gilgamesh. And these tablets have all been translated long before he was even a seed in his dad's body. He wasn't even in existence at the time that these things were already translated, and already had been in libraries in Cambridge and then also at the museum in England. So if you go to the UCLA CDLI Cuneiform Online Library, you can just Google that. And you can pull up the stone tablets, the Sumerian tablets, and you can take a virtual tablet off the virtual shelf and drop it into a translator and read these tablets for yourself. You don't even need a translator. This is how well it's been done already. So the debunking Zechariah Sitchin is a waste of energy anymore. Forget about it, because his work has been venerated. Because if you go and really analyze the work and look at the references, and then go trace down the references and then read that information and study those texts and those tablets, you find that there's a lot of very valid information in those tablets that matches his theory, and not to exact, but pretty close. And all the people who have now deciphered these tablets around the world, all the different authors that have gone through and translators and everything else, they've all come up with a pretty similar story. Not the same exact story, but a similar story, meaning the fundamental basis is the same. People came here from another place that were very advanced to mine this planet for resources. To what end? We don't know the exact reason why, but they mined the planet for resources. And at some point, they began genetic tinkering with the existing hominid on this planet to use to create a slave race. That's the basic fundamental basis of the story. No matter what civilization you look into in their ancient record, and no matter who you look into in modern times in terms of translating these tablets, they all come out with the same basic story. That story is the same.
Let me ask you this, Billy. If you jump on a starship, you take off, you've got your friends with you, and you find a planet that's got early versions of ourselves running around, right? And you land. They don't have fire yet, or what have you, right? A primitive existence. What do you do? What do you do? Do you teach them a couple of fundamentals and split, or are you going to hang out and dominate and take over the planet? What would you do?
See, that depends on the type of being. Now, of course, yin and yang. You have good and you have evil. So you have good advanced beings, and you have benevolent and non-benevolent beings. So what happens is you land on the planet where you see a less developed, humanoid, and you have the capability now of doing one of two things. One is you can masquerade as a god and rule over these people,
right,
and get them to do your bidding and to worship you and everything else, which a lot of these advanced beings did. Or you can be like Thoth and basically say, no, stand up and let's talk. Well, I'm here to help raise you into a higher level of civilization, teach you language, teach you architecture, teach you this, teach you that, and not masquerade as a god. So you have both sides of the coin. One side can be to manipulate the people. The other side could be to really assist and help. Or there's actually one more side is, the prime directive, which is to not interfere with a less advanced civilization, but to only monitor and watch, but to not interfere with their advancement whatsoever.
And we clearly were the subjects of number 2, right?
Oh, absolutely.
In that we had a drive-by, maybe many, and little bump starts, little things that, and then they left. Just things to help us along. And I'm okay with that. I think the evidence is clearly there that is what happened.
Yep, absolutely. There's no doubt about it. It definitely is what happened, because a lot of the advancements that we've been able to make just through a normal evolution process of just consciousness and time, not enough time has passed for this to occur. We've literally taken leaps and bounds technologically, and not to take anything away from human ingenuity, but what I'm saying is when you look at the surrounding evidence that's all over this planet, and when you look at some of the technological advances that have occurred around the same time that certain conspiracies have come up in terms of downed craft and so forth and so on, you start to see that we've taken leaps and bounds technologically just from horse and buggy to where we are now, to where we can actually send remote control cars to another planet, like, the Mars rover. We've really come a very, very long way in a very short period of time. And I truly do believe that that's because we've had some help and assistance along the way.
Well, and if you think about it, any civilization, type 1, type 2, type 3, that would be here, we're not the only place that they're visiting, right? There are billions of planets in the Milky Way that have life on it, billions, not a couple, but billions, and they've got other projects that they're working on, right? Right, and so they're going to go and do their thing. They're going to come back here and maybe check in a couple of thousand years and see how we're progressing. Write their reports, send it back right to the homeland, and go out there and continue this research throughout the star system. I'm okay with that,
agree.
Billy. I'm totally okay with that.
Yeah, I agree with you 1,000%. And I think they're just waiting for us to grow up. They're monitoring and watching, and waiting for us to come to a point where we, meaning the 7.5 billion people, find a way to take control back of this planet and start to release some of the suppressed technologies that have been afforded to us that are really here to help and assist mankind. And I think when we get to the point where we were able to take down some of these matrix systems and release some of this suppressed technology and begin to advance mankind in a positive way, start to do away with wars and so forth for profit and all this other crazy stuff, that some of these entities will then come down and assist even more openly, maybe even speeding up the process a little bit more. But right now we're just in a phase, I think, where we're kind of just being helped along very gently, but still they're waiting for us to grow up as a species.
Let's do a little overtime. I'm going to take a break, and let's pick this up on where we're leaving off. I also want to discuss your new series over on Gaia Deep Space and continue where we are right now. Okay, you going to hang out with us?
Yes.
That's what I'm talking about. It's Billy Carson.
All
that's
right.
why he's an influencer. Influencer. I can't say it, Billy, but you are, and we'll be right back.
Vivica Fox here, and you are listening to my boy, Jimmy Church, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will.
Hurricanes, earthquakes, wildfires. This year we've experienced more than our fair share. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and last month I decided to make sure my family does not have to worry about food should we get caught in a real emergency situation. Introducing Numana, a healthy, storable product that tastes so good that you'll want to eat it every day instead of just during those times of duress. All Numana products have a 25-year shelf life, are MSG and GMO-free, no preservatives, and are made in America. With the Numana pack in your home, you'll be able to sleep at night knowing that you've protected your family. Not only have I tasted and tested, I own it. Now you can too. Just click on the Numana banner on JimmyChurchRadio.com and use the promo code Jimmy when you order. In addition to a discount, we'll send you an autographed Fade to Black t-shirt. Seriously, go Beckley Tappy. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I take Life Change Tea supplements every single day. It's what I do. Click on their banner at JimmyChurchRadio.com. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Just click on the banner at JimmyChurchRadio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy.
Hi folks, CBD is the home run hitter for health right now. Why, you ask? Because of what it does for the body. Unfortunately, I can't tell you all about the benefit. You know, there's reasons. Do your due diligence and log on to AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. Ancient Life Oil uses organic ingredients and is blended in coconut oil for some of the best benefits. Legal in 50 states and non-psychoactive. Log on to AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and my family is safe because of Numana Emergency Food Storage. Just go to the Numana banner at JimmyChurchRadio.com. Promo code Jimmy10.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Erica, Brittany, Gabby, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRARadio.com.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Billy Carson, Forbidden Knowledge. You can follow Billy on Twitter at Forbidden Knowledge. You can follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. And I wanted to talk about deep space. Billy, I have been talking so much about technology and what we are discovering about our own Milky Way and the advancements over the last few years with physicists and theoretical physicists and astrophysicists and astronomers. It's just been astounding.
The information is just coming in really, really fast. When you look at, the hardcore numbers, right? The basic math of all of this. When I talk about basic math, I'm talking about counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Basic math. It's tremendous what we're finding out now, isn't it?
Oh yeah, we're really gaining leaps and bounds in knowledge and wisdom as far as disclosure, as far as technology that may be used, different types of technologies now that are being developed. Everything from EM drive to warp drives are all becoming reality. As a matter of fact, China has already launched an EM drive on a satellite just this year. So we're talking about some super advanced technology. We're talking about disclosure of information trickling down to us. It's just been 2018 has been a really amazing year. And we talk a lot about this on Deep Space, which is a Gaia original series, which I'm an expert host on in Season 1 and Season 2. And I'm pretty excited about it. And now they've gone and given me my own show, which is probably going to air sometime next spring or summer, which is going to be Knowledge for Ascension with Billy Carson.
If we look back to 1995, 3 exoplanets that were confirmed, right?
Yeah.
Today we're at 3,903. That was December 6th. So it's probably 3,920 right today that are that are logged, right? The actual exoplanets. We have another 5,000 candidates that are in habitable zones. So that number is 9,000. There were 3 in 1995. Today, astronomers are now of this mindset that we have 200 billion plus stars in the Milky Way, and probably every single star has a planet. Now, like I said, just the basic math, and we start to look at the planet count here. We are not alone. We're talking about 100 billion planets in our Milky Way. Now, that's insane to me. We are not alone, are we?
There's no way we're alone. There's not even. We've never been alone. Matter of fact, this region of our Milky Way galaxy where we're located is a fairly new region, and there's other places in our galaxy that are millions of years older than us. As a matter of fact, this solar system that we're living in right now, inside of our Milky Way galaxy on this outer arm, is not from the Milky Way galaxy. This is peer-reviewed science. Our solar system actually is coming from the Sagittarius dwarf galaxy, which is merging and still in the process of merging with the Milky Way galaxy. The Milky Way galaxy actually gobbled up another galaxy named the Sagittarius dwarf galaxy, and where the intersection point of the Milky Way and the Sagittarius is directly where our sun is located. So most likely, several billion years ago, we were dropped into this position through the merger of the Milky Way with the Sagittarius dwarf galaxy, which is where we're actually from, which is a very much smaller galaxy and fairly new. So we're totally brand new, man. There's other star systems in this galaxy that could be 3, 4, 5, even 8 billion years, older than us, and had coalesced, developed technologies maybe 3 or 4 million years ago, or advanced societies that are now traveling not only the galaxy, maybe intergalactic even.
And this is what's fascinating when you start to look at those numbers. We took, no matter how you want to slice it, it doesn't matter, but we took about 3 billion years to develop into us today, right? From microbial life to now. Okay, 3 billion years. Okay, all right. And the last 200,000 years of that gave us Homo sapiens sapien. All right. I'm just believing what science is telling us, right?
Right.
Okay. So if we just look at those numbers and the amount of stars and planets that are, like you just said, 8 billion years old in our own Milky Way, and we are sitting here with a planet that is 4.5 billion years old. Well, it doesn't take anything to imagine what could be out there. And now they do have to have a stable star. We have a sun that is extremely stable. It hasn't ignited. It hasn't burned up, or, some crazy solar flare action where, everything on this planet has been incinerated many times over, every 1,000 years, it burps. Yeah. We've got a really stable sun. So I understand that part of it. But when you look at 200 billion stars in this Milky Way, well, it's a numbers game. There are plenty of stable situations out there.
Oh, there's no doubt. And there's so many that I think that the galaxy is actually overpopulated in terms of civilizations. And people go, how come we're not hearing from them? I think we are hearing from them, but the powers that be aren't relaying the messages to us. The messages are definitely coming in. I think we're in direct communication with these beings, with these other civilizations. But just like I said, it's not being related to the general public. They're keeping that in terms of the communication top secret, for purposes of national security or whatever they want to call it. But they want to control every single aspect of everything, including contact with other civilizations. For what end, I'm not exactly sure, but most likely so that they can control the situation and any manipulations that need to be put in place, or maybe even to as well check and see how safe or how dangerous some of these civilizations are. But they do not want us to know that they are out there. As a matter of fact, they don't want us to know about the ones that are right above our heads on Mercury, Venus, Mars, Ceres, even the moons of Titan, the moon of Saturn, and some of the moons of Jupiter, and even I think Pluto, based on some of the images I've seen. There's people right here in our own solar system.
How exciting is it for you when you talk about this research and the Annunaki and deep space and the solar system and all of the science out there, and then you got a chance to see your first, we'll call it UFO, with me, and you start to see what you've been talking about, and you see these things for the first time. What did that do for you?
Man, it just gave me a lot of confirmation, a lot of confirmation, because when I was a child, at the age of 7, seeing the UFO in my backyard, it was like, okay, what did I just really see? And then, over time, it gets really foggy. But when I had a chance to go to City Ranch, and when you were there, we did the lectures out there and everything else. We went out to the Field of Dreams to look up and look for UFOs. And that place is just a UFO haven. I mean, they just swarmed there every single night. And to see them, that many of them, that persistent and that consistent with the naked eye, with hundreds of witnesses there, all looking at the same thing, night after night after night, it was just absolutely astounding and added a lot of confirmation, man, that we truly are not alone, and they are patrolling this planet, observing this planet. Maybe some of those are coming here on, it could be vacations. I mean, we really don't know, man. They're just they're there. They're all over the place. It was amazing. I mean, there's UFOs dropping out of the sky into the mountains, into the tree line in front of us, about 13 miles away. I mean, with light coming out. It was amazing. Everybody's got to take a trip out to City Ranch and just witness this for themselves and be astounded at what they're going to see when they get there.
When and I understand the aspects of this for you, but do you take it that far where it is confirmation that you can move on and like turn that page in your life?
Yeah, for me it is. I mean, it's like, okay, now, I've confirmed it. I've had an experience with them already, but to have this many, it's always by myself. Now, all of a sudden here we got all these people. We're all yelling and screaming at the same time. We're watching these UFOs power up and light up in the sky, and we've got it on recording. We're recording it on several cameras from several angles. Many people looking. It's just, just like, wow, this is. I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy. I'm not a psychopath. This is real stuff really happening in the real material world that now is documented by not only by myself but by dozens of people at the same exact time, all on different cameras and different types of devices. Some naked eye, some infrared. And it's like, yeah, I can close this chapter. I mean, I can continue to research and study it, but I mean, the question mark is completely gone now.
The future for all of this that you are writing about and researching, what excites you the most? What's next?
Man, disclosure is the next big thing. I know we're already getting disclosure from all these secret groups and everything else, but I think mainstream disclosure is coming. And it's not going to be a massive, like, oh, aliens are really here and there's ancient civilizations. But I truly do believe that by 2025, we're going to hear that there's microbial life, bacterial life, or maybe viral life on another planet, most likely Mars. They're going to come back with that statement, which means those are aliens. I mean, technically, that means alien life exists. They've now slowly come out with it. First, Mars was a cold rock, and nothing could live on there, and it didn't even have liquid water, and it was just frozen carbon monoxide. Then it became, by the way, it's liquid water, and there's billions of tons of liquid water on Mars, and it's 99 degrees at the equator in the summer. I remember 2 years ago, our articles on the Washington Post and the LA Times were that Detroit and Chicago were colder than Mars in the winter, and at the equator. And then now all of a sudden they're saying the soil on Mars is better for growing crops than on Earth. Don't tell me how they know this, but that's an official press release by them. And there's missions now to Mars, as well as this new rover that just got there, this new probe that just got there. So the next thing they're going to come out with is that there's microbial life or bacterial life on Mars. And to me, that's a big statement, a big announcement. It's not the same thing as saying we've got a humanoid up there or we got a rodent or whatever, but it's admitting that there's life beyond Earth, and that's going to open the door for a lot more disclosure of biological entities that exist outside of our planet to come forward over the next 10, 15, 20 years.
Yeah, it's the only sure bet for funding, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You have
to do it.
Right. And the excitement, I had Robert Zubrin on Coast to Coast over the weekend, and that's one of the points that he brought up. And I totally agree with this. The excuses or the reasons for the space program failing and stopping, because we had plans to go to Mars in the 60s. And that was the next step after Apollo. And things were moving in that direction. For whatever reason, most of it political, from 1968 forward, and the stagnating and everything stopping, whatever those reasons are, it doesn't really matter. It happened. So now, how do you re-kickstart the public interest in all of this so you get the funding back and you can go and get these projects done in a quick manner? Right, because the way that if we did go to the moon, right, whatever, but we got that done quickly. It was like, man, boom, done. Mentality is in the right place. We applied everything, we got it done, and finished off. We should have gone to Mars and been there probably by 1975, but we didn't. So how do you kickstart that? How do you reignite those flames? Well, you announce something like that. Right? Life on Mars. We can create oxygen. We can terraform. We can now go and get all of this done right now. All right, let's go. Let's fund it. That's what you do. That's why that announcement, like you're saying, is probably imminent.
Yeah, it is. It's imminent. It's just like you said, they needed funding to continue to explore Mars, because how many times can you go there and say it's just a cold rock? They've been going there since 1960, and we spent trillions of dollars going to Mars and sent dozens and dozens of missions to Mars, and you can't continue to come back and say it's just a cold rock. So they started releasing little tidbits of information, and it generated cash flow, like that there's water and that there's soil that can grow crops, and that there's now all of a sudden, first they were saying there was no magnetic field. Now there's enough of a magnetic field combined with the bow shock of the spin of the planet on its axis. The bow shock actually bends the cosmic rays around the planet, and the radiation doesn't really affect the surface that much. So all these things are coming into play. There's oxygen. If you were laying flat on your back on the surface of the planet, you'd be able to breathe normally. This is admitted now because there's enough pressure and there's enough oxygen at that level. Now, anything above that, it begins to get much thinner and so forth and so on. But I personally believe that that's not accurate as well. There's a couple of Yemeni men that filed a lawsuit against NASA several years ago because their ancient ancestors, super ancient ancestors, had left them ownership of the planet Mars. And these Yemeni men living out of the desert now, these guys raised up enough revenue and got attorneys and everything and took NASA to international court. And they said that they didn't want NASA to release the true geological information about the gravity and the atmosphere and so forth about Mars. I mean, what makes people that are living in the middle of the desert come up with enough resources to try to take NASA, of all people, of all corporations, to court to challenge them and challenge the science data that they're releasing about the planet, and also to claim that they have the documentation to prove that the planet was left to them by their ancient ancestors. There's a lot going on here. And then when you look around the planet, you see NASA has taken over, Chaco Canyon. They've taken over the Great Pyramid access. They've taken over there's this place in the Grand Canyon that now was sacred Indian land. They've taken that as well. Everywhere you start to look, they're jumping in to these places. And now that it's also at Machu Picchu, there's an area there where NASA is kind of taken over as well.
What?
What are these? Yes, this is crazy. And now at the very top, which is the observatory part of Machu Picchu, this was the last year, I'm glad I got there, that they're allowing anybody up there. It's going to be cordoned off starting 2019. Nobody can go to that particular location where there's the observatory part that tracks the sun and the stars and all this other stuff. That's going to be completely off limits. So this is getting out of control.
What did they say publicly for the reasons for doing that?
They just say that that's taken over by NASA. That's it.
It's taken over by NASA. You can't come.
Over by NASA, yeah.
Right. Don't cross the police tape.
Right. I mean, now when I went to Egypt, they told me that soon access to the inside of the Great Pyramid may be cut off because NASA now owns the rights to the access of the inside of the Great Pyramid.
Who said that?
Going, what in the?
Yeah, who said that?
That was the pyramid guards and the archaeologist that was with us at the time.
Now, could it be for? Well, that would be Japanese though, not NASA. The Muon research that's going on, but that's not NASA. That's Japan. I don't know.
That's Japan. That's the independent research company to Japan. But no, it's NASA. Direct word was NASA. We were driving through the desert to get to Temple of Dendera. We were out in the middle of nowhere, and you could see this gigantic warehouse. It goes on for like 3 or 4 football fields, and it's got this giant NASA logo on it. So I go to the driver. I say, "Hey, man, what does this thing doing out here in the middle of nowhere?" They go, "Oh, that's NASA. They're making us aluminum." I'm like, okay. They're making aluminum in the middle of Egypt, in the middle of the desert, out in the middle of nowhere where there's not even a power source.
And there's a NASA logo.
Really peculiar going on.
There's a NASA logo on the building.
On the building, yes. Yeah. Anybody going to the Temple of Dendera that's cutting through the desert, just look over to your right, and you'll see this massive, supermassive warehouse with the NASA logo off in the distance, so you can still make it out. And it's about 3 football fields long, and nobody knows really what they're truly doing in there.
They're making aluminum. Aluminum for what? Did the driver tell you?
He didn't know. That's what somebody told him.
They're making aluminum.
Crazy.
Oh man. Oh, what's next? Are you heading out of the country?
Yeah, man. I'm going to be heading out of here. I got a big group of trips planned for 2019. I got the Forbidden Knowledge Tour of Egypt coming in July. It was going to be in May, but some people are still trying to get the rest of their funds in, so we moved it to July to help them out. So July is a tour of Egypt with me. I'm going to go and take people on a 15-day trip to Egypt, and we're going to go everywhere. I mean everywhere, even a Nile cruise. And then I'm going to go to India to the Taj Mahal. I may go there to the Taj Mahal before I get to Egypt, and also visit the Kalisha temples, which were carved out of mountains, temples carved directly out of mountains, which is totally unbelievable. I can't wait to see those. And then I'm going to head down to the French Polynesian to Easter Island. I'm going to go to Ethiopia to the Lalibela temples. The Lalibela temples are almost exactly like the Kalisha temples, where somebody with some advanced technology carved it directly out of some mountains in Africa. So I'm going there, and then I'm going to take a trip over to Bosnia and see the Bosnian pyramids and take a tour of them, and then wrap it up with UK with Stonehenge, and somewhere in there I'm going to fit a trip to Tahiti and somewhere.
What do you want to find? I've got like 1 minute left here, Billy. But going to Easter Island is really, really cool. What do you want to find there? What do you expect?
Well, I'm just trying to get my hands again on the raw materials, and I want to take a compass with me, and I want to put it next to some of these stone statues and see if the compass moves if any of the, if it gives me any evidence that maybe the magnetism has been reversed or the magnetic field has been reversed, or in some of these stones, have they been tampered with maybe on a magnetic level? So I want to just take some simple equipment there, and I want to also just analyze some of the angles of these structures, and I want to see how big they are. I mean, I've seen some of these massive, photos where you dig down and you find out how big they really are. I want to be able to see that with my own eyes and stand next to some of those giant structures and just hear what some of the locals have to say about the ancient history of the place.
Yeah, that's a bucket list situation right there. And like I said, you go out there and you get it done. You're visiting these places and you're learning and you're coming back and sharing it with us through Forbidden Knowledge. And I just have to thank you for that, man. And it's one thing to talk about it, but they always say it, right? Life is full of people that do and those that don't. Yeah. But you're right. One of the people that do, and it's difficult, man. It takes discipline, but thank you.
Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate the opportunity. And I appreciate everyone who takes the time to just look at my material and content and analyze it and listen to it. Whether you believe somebody or you don't, at least take a look at it and then research everything I say. Don't believe what I say, research what I say.
Is the new version of Compendium out?
It's almost done. We had a couple of last-minute edits, and it should be available right at the beginning of the year. And it's going to be a hot new release, Compendium of the Emerald Tablets, Volume 2, with the foreword written by yourself, Mr. Jimmy Church. And what an honor that is for me to have you write the foreword for my book. Man, I'm really looking forward to getting that thing out. So it's just a few more weeks away from being released.
I'm excited, and I can't wait to get the books in here so we can give some away to the Fadernauts. And it's an honor and a privilege, man. Thank you so much. Billy, you are the very best, man. Enjoy the rest of your night.
Thank you. Appreciate you, man.
Billy Carson. Now, it's forbiddenknowledge.com is the website. And, of course, you can follow Billy at Forbidden Knowledge on Twitter. It's all very simple. Now, this week, we've got an amazing lineup on Fade to Black all week long. And this is our Influencer Week here on Fade to Black. Tonight, it was Billy Carson. Tomorrow night, Carrie Cassidy from Project Camelot is here. And then on Wednesday, Tyler Glockner from Secure Team joins us. Now, you probably have never heard Tyler get interviewed before because I don't think he's ever done it. And so he's going to be here for the first time. I did some math today, and the combined number of people that they reach out to, these three, each week, we're talking about 4, 5, 6 million people. That's how you influence. And that's why they are here this week on Fade to Black. And Thursday night, of course, Teresa Yannaris and Divine Frequency on the airwaves, another person who influences. And that's Fade to Black. And that's what we're going to do this week. And, of course, Thursday night is Fader night. We'll have open lines all night long. I want to thank Billy Carson for coming in, and also an amazing conversation during some overtime tonight. Fade to Black's executive producer is Rita Camarion. Show is produced by Hilton J. Palm, Renee, Dennis, and Bob. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vitoa, Mark D. Kovar. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy, spaceboymusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network, and syndication is KGRA, The Planet. It's broadcast on and copyrighted 2018 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Until tomorrow night, Carrie Cassidy, right here. I want everybody to be safe. Go Beckley Tepe.